So I'm going to start this video off with a pretty bold claim and say what I'm about to show you could very well make a lot of millionaires out there. I'm going to show you every step you need to make a professional e-commerce website that sells print-on-demand products in the easiest, the most effective, and the most profitable way possible. We've seen people use this method and make thousands of dollars per month in profit, all the way up to $70,000 per month in profit with the tools I'm about to show you. And yes, I did say profit, not revenue, like actual profit per month. So what I'm going to show you in this video is something that a lot of people gatekeep behind a paid course. It's something that people charge hundreds or even thousands of dollars for. This is going to be a multi-hour long video, so get comfortable, take out a notepad, and get ready to follow along. Print on demand is incredibly popular for a lot of reasons, but some of the big ones, of course, are that it's very easy to automate. It requires basically no overhead. You're not doing any manufacturing yourself. You're not doing any shipping yourself. You don't have any inventory. And so with that, you're getting substantially less risk as well. So you get a lot of the same upside you would see with an inventory-based shop, but you're getting substantially less risk, which means getting started out and figuring out what the best design is, what the best product is much easier to do. You're much more fluid, easier to change everything, and find exactly what works best for you. So the method that we will use allows you to start with almost no money. It allows you to scale indefinitely, and on top of that, you're able to avoid a lot of the growing pains that so many other e-commerce businesses end up facing. You could do this alone in your basement, in your bedroom. This could be a 4-hour per week side hustle, or it could also be a full-time job replacement if you wanted it to be. So in this video, I'm gonna show you a lot. We're gonna start off with how to get a hands-off supplier that is really easy to work with, delivers on time, delivers quality, and is a worthwhile supplier. That's a really important question here. Then I'll talk about how to design a professional site. We'll get into how to create designs and make products. We'll talk about how to set up your marketing, both organic, which includes Facebook, TikTok, influencer marketing, email marketing, and of course, amplified marketing as well. And those two things right there are probably the most important steps in this entire video. They're usually where people drop off and they think they know what they're doing, but that is where all the money is made, in that step right there. And later I'll show you how to get sample orders like this and like this so that you can actually take photos of them in real life and see the quality and test them for yourself. Let's kind of take a couple steps back and start off with what is print on demand. So fundamentally, print on demand works like this. Let's say I'm selling a mug, and the mug from the supplier costs $10, but I'm selling it for $20. If somebody goes on my website, they either found my ad or just found it organically on Google, and they want to buy my mug because it resonates with them, it's funny, whatever, and they click purchase. They pay me $20, and automatically on the back end of my store, $10 goes to the supplier and places an order. The supplier makes the mug, they ship the mug, they do all the fulfillment. I never have to do anything. All I do is make my website, promote the product, and everything's taken care of on the back end. Customers get their products. I never have to see the product that the customer actually receives. I'm not dealing with those packages. And there's some really big advantages to this. For one, you have no minimum order quantities. You don't have to buy 1,000 mugs in order to sell them. You don't have any inventory, so you don't need to rent out a warehouse or a garage for that. And you don't have any packaging or shipping. Basically no logistics at all. You can focus on the front end of the business, which is marketing, and of course, obviously customer relations and customer support as well, but you can focus on that aspect a lot more without worrying about the back end. So how do we find a supplier that's willing to do this? Well, there are a lot of options out there, but the one that we'll be using in this video is called Gelato. So they partnered up with us on this video, and so I have a link in the description that can give you a 1 month for free, as well as a 50% discount when you're ordering your first samples. We'll talk more about how to use that in a second, but why did we choose to use Gelato? Well, first of all, they have the world's largest print-on-demand network. They have suppliers in 32 different countries, which is great for if you're trying to sell globally. Internet's a big place, the world's a big place, so you have access to substantially more customers when you're able to ship locally for them. They also have fast delivery and guaranteed quality and a lot of integration. So they partner up very well with Shopify, meaning that when we build our store with Shopify and we use Gelato, everything syncs up so seamlessly that there's less that can go wrong, there's less work that you have to do, and overall, it makes it a lot easier for your life and for the overall success of your business to become possible. So we're going to start off by creating an account. I'm going to go over to my laptop right now. So to get started, this is all online software, so you don't have to download anything. It's really easy. Anywhere in the world, just work on your laptop. Totally possible. And so we are going to go to santralmedia.com/gelato. Of course, I will also put a link in the top of the description and in a pinned comment. In fact, we're going to have a lot of links in this video, so to keep it organized, I'm going to number these. So be sure to check out the description so you can follow along with those links. This is link number 1. The first link we need in this process is going to be Gelato. So that'll take you to this page right here. Like I said, we have an exclusive offer with them. So if you go through this offer, again, you're getting 50% off your first order, which is great for getting samples. And additionally, this gives you a month of free gelato, which is going to be nice. Let's start off by signing up with our email. I'm going to put in my name. Make sure you accept the API user terms, and then check your email and click verify. And this is going to start asking us some pretty basic questions. It won't really matter too much what you choose here, so try to choose whichever makes the most sense. We're going to say we are trying to launch an online business. We are a seasoned e-commerce seller. Again, doesn't really matter which one you choose. It's going to be the same in the end. Just this is going to change your dashboard a little bit. And we want to sell, let's just say maybe this is going to be clothing. And I'll show you the whole library of different products you can sell in a second. And you heard about us from, I guess I'm considered an influencer. So we could say Santral Media, say finish, and that will bring you to your dashboard. Now, there are a lot of different products you can sell on Gelato. So just before we go any further, just kind of starting to brainstorm what kind of products might sell well. We can go to product catalog, and Gelato does a good job, in my opinion, of really only showing products that have the potential to succeed with print on demand. They're not like giant filing cabinets that you'd print something on the side. Obviously, it's going to be like t-shirts, like we probably have, like the Gildan 5000 is probably going to be, let's see, t-shirts right there. The Gildan 5000, of course, that's a very common shirt. Things like that are going to be really common on here. So clothing items, for example, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you've got women's clothing as well. You have children's clothing, but also other categories entirely. Don't feel like you're constrained to just clothing. Of course, we have tote bags, for example, could be very popular in some niches. We have wall art, which is kind of almost orthogonal. That's like a very interesting and different category entirely that you can make some really cool wall art and sell that print on demand as well. And that could even be like, if you're an artist and you paint something and you want to sell prints, that could be a really easy way to sell like wooden prints if that's what you're into. Of course, phone cases are an option, and of course, like I said, mugs. That's a really popular one, and we have quite a variety of mugs down here. So I think like the enamel mug is pretty cool, pretty different. It's not just your basic little ceramic mug. You got a lot of variety within Gelato. But now that we have Gelato, we have to set up our second account. So link number 2 down below, or if you just want to type it along with me, it's santralmedia.com, again, and this time /Shopify. Shopify. P-O-D, hit enter, and that will take you to a page that looks something like this. Now, if there's one thing I know about Shopify, it's that they like to tinker with their landing page, so don't worry if it looks a little bit different from this, if there's a slightly different offer or just the image looks different. Somewhere on here, it should say enter your email address. It's going to take us to the same page next, no matter what this one looks like. So I'm going to start off with my email address, and Shopify also is interested in asking us some questions. So I'm going to skip this one. Honestly, you can skip a lot of these. We are creating an online store, and maybe you want to sell on other marketplaces as well, which is a really great power of Shopify. It's kind of like the default selling platform on the internet for anybody trying to set up an e-commerce store because it is so reliable, it's so well made, and it has so many integrations out there. So you're able to sell directly on TikTok, natively on Instagram, on Facebook. It's not just your website at your domain. You can sell in a lot of different places. And so if you have a store embedded within Instagram, you can still do print on demand. So it'll go from Instagram to Shopify over to Gelato, and it does it all automatically for you. So Shopify is just so cool how they're able to do all that. Like really impressive on the back end. So I'm going to say next. And we are looking to do print on demand products. We can select that one right there. We'll say next. I am located in the United States, and I am going to create my account. So sign up with email, just make a password right now, and create my Shopify account. All right, so Shopify and Gelato, 2 accounts that we have set up. You're gonna keep track of this with me. The first thing we want to do within Shopify is select a plan so that we're actually able to list products and actually sell the products and have it function with an actual domain. So you'll see a little pop-up down there that says select a plan. Click on that, or you can click right here, pick a plan, or you can go over to settings and you can choose a plan over here as well if you click on plan. So a lot of different ways you can get there. If you just click on select a plan, like I said, just proving my point here, it'll take you to the same page no matter what. And so we have 3 plan options. You have the basic plan, you have the Shopify plan, and you have the advanced plan. So if you already have a store somewhere else, then I would assume you're probably not watching this video on how to make a store, but if you are, and you already have some sale volume, or if you just have a large audience and you know you're going to get sales volume right away, maybe you're an influencer, for example, it might make sense to start with either Shopify or advanced. So one key difference between these is going to be the rate that Shopify charges when somebody makes a purchase. So if you have the advanced plan, it's 2.4% versus 2.6 versus 2.9%. So that little 0.5%, if you're selling enough volume, could be equivalent to the $270 difference we're seeing between these two. So I'll have a little spreadsheet down below that can kind of help you decide if you already have a lot of order volume, is it worth it for you to get the Shopify or the advanced plan? If you're just starting off, the basic plan, like you're starting off at 0 sales, so that's gonna make the most sense anyway. Now we can type in our name and our credit card information. So that little spreadsheet will be link number 3 in the description. Like I said, I'll have them all numbered down there for you. And then click on subscribe. And that'll bring us to our dashboard. Now, I know we're going through a lot of steps here, but the next one is going to be to connect Gelato to Shopify. So that way we have everything as like one main system here, and products will sync between them. Everything will work really well. So if we go back to Gelato and we click on stores on the left side, you'll see direct integrations. Shopify should be listed right there. We'll click on Shopify and we are going to sign into our Shopify account. We're going to say install. It's already signed in, so I don't have to re-sign into my Shopify account. And then we'll just click on install here as well. And there we go. So now it says, do you want to automatically or manually import all the features and connect everything? So I'm going to leave it on automatic. That works the best for me. And now I'm going to click on create new product. So we're finally ready to start making our own products with Gelato and designing the product, choosing what we want to be on there and how we want to sell that product. So going through the product catalog, I already showed you guys a little bit of it before, but let's just say, just for starters, I want to sell like a Gildan 5000 t-shirt. It's a really common t-shirt and there's a lot of colors available. It's a really standard one, pretty easy to find. And so if we go to t-shirts right here, you'll see the first one, heavyweight unisex crew neck t-shirt, and that is the Gildan 5000. You can also search for any of these products. Super easy to do that, to find anything specific. And as you can see here, we have a ton of colors. Now, what I recommend doing is if you are just getting started out, you might not know what product you want. There are quite a few different t-shirts here. You might want an organic one, a premium, classic, heavyweight. So I would recommend, we're gonna be making some samples in this video. So later on, we'll be able to order a bunch of them at a pretty substantial discount. You can try them on, you can figure out which ones are going to be the best, which ones you like the best. And I think it's really important to actually see your product before you sell it. A lot of people don't do that. I think it makes a huge difference so you know what your customers are actually getting, and then we can decide what the right product is. But just to get started, we're gonna start off with this one right here. We're gonna say we want the Gildan 5000, the heavyweight unisex. And now that we're ready to make a design, I wanna go to one of my favorite tools to make these designs, and this is actually Canva, which is super easy to use. It's actually free to use as well, which is a huge advantage. And I'll have a link, like link number 4 down there so you guys can follow along. Or you can just go to canva.com. And this has, it's a super powerful tool for all of your marketing. It's great for making like promotions or flyers or posters. Logos is another one. Obviously the design on your products themselves will be really powerful with this. And so really pretty flexible tool, great for design, really intuitive and easy to use. So let's just say I'm going to be making, you can just search for whatever you want for templates. Maybe you could say t-shirt. And just, I'm sure they'll have some designs on some, right there, some templates for t-shirts down here. T-shirt is an entire thing where 14 by 18 is what they're giving. So we'll just click on that one. It's going to be a t-shirt template. We could start with a blank one. We could look at some other designed ones. I'm gonna go with the blank one. Let's start with a blank t-shirt. So they give us this little canvas that we can work with, and just kind of a quick little rundown of how Canva works. On the top, you can start off with designs, and these are all great templates you could start with. So if you really like maybe this one here and you want to just change what the words say, you can click on that, it'll bring it over. If you want to undo that, there is an undo button on the top left, and we can scroll down and just see a lot of different ones. You can also search for specific styles of designs. If you have an idea, maybe you really want it to be involved with like trees, you can type in trees, find a lot of designs that are related to that, and it kind of should help you to get some more ideas, kind of spark some more creativity there. But if you already know exactly what you want, you can build it out from scratch if you go down to Elements. Now, Elements, again, has a lot of graphics. You can also upload your own graphics as if you go down to Uploads right here. And of course, we do also have text as well. So if you want to add heading, subheading, smaller text, you can click on this, or you can click and drag anything over and just put it wherever you want. So it's a very intuitive tool. Again, clicking, dragging things around. If you want to change anything about this text, on the top, you have this little menu across that you can change the color of it. You can add effects to it. Animating doesn't make sense for a t-shirt, but Canva can also be used to make like little animated videos or like Instagram stories, for example. That's where animation might make the most sense. And you can change the position and the transparency of things, or you could also copy the style from this text. So if I want to copy the style down onto here, that'll change it to the same font, the same color, the same everything like that. So I'm going to delete this and delete this. So let's say my design, I'm going to make like a little parody of some local restaurant that happens to be closed on Sundays. I'm going to call this just kind of a quick example here. I'm going to say shapes, and we're going to find a circle. We're going to add a circle in here. We want this circle to be full size, almost. Center it. We want this to have no fill. So I want to have no fill on this. I want to have an outline, and the outline is going to be maybe red, and we can change like the border weight. I want it to be a lot thicker. Let's put it like that. And now we can go down and add some text, maybe some cursive, maybe this will be good. And then we can make this maybe red. So let's highlight all this font, all this text, make it red. And, actually I really don't like that circle. Let's go back to Elements and look for something else. All right, so there's like a quick little logo I threw together, kind of a parody, a little bit funny. Like people want to go to Chick-fil-A, but they're closed on Sundays. So like Sunday filet, it's kind of funny. Now, something like this, I would definitely consult with an attorney to make sure that it's not infringing on copyrights. I don't want to get like a lawsuit behind this. Make sure it fits within like some parody law. But again, this is like maybe just a funny example of how you might use Canva to make a design. Don't copy this. But again, if I like this, then we can go to share and we can go to download. And so Canva has a couple options. One is the free version of Canva, which you won't be able to have a transparent background. And that could be totally fine if you have a colored background or a white background and it's like a white t-shirt and you're putting it on, or if you want to remove the background with some other tool online. But if you upgrade to Canva Pro, I think is what they call it, Canva Premium, Canva Pro, you can get a transparent background. So I'm going to download that. And then let's go back to Gelato. So you have two ways to print on here. You can either print direct to garment, DTG, and that's going to be like an ink kind of thing, as it makes sense, or you can have embroidered. And so embroidered is going to move you up to the top, like the breast pocket there. And we've got a couple colors for what the embroidering could look like. We'll do an embroidered one in just a minute. Let's go back to DTG. Let's upload that file that we wanted. But I want to point out that you can also design everything directly in Gelato. So they have some really great tools here. We can look at our layers. We can have some files uploaded. We can add our own text and move everything around. We could also add some shapes and some images on here. And so you can design everything directly in Gelato. You don't necessarily have to use Canva. I like to use a third party sometimes because then you have the image file saved, and it makes it easier if you want to put that on your website or on a flyer or whatever else you might want to use that for. I think it's nice to have that separately, but you can also you can design it all in Gelato, like I said. So if we go to choose a file, we can have this one right here. As it is, it looks like the template we used in Canva was a little bit smaller. So it says if we get onto warnings, we should have 150 dots per inch. Right now it's 125 DPI. So I could always scale this down a little bit until we get to 150 DPI about right there. And so like it still looks good. I think that looks fine. If you stretch it too much, it won't necessarily look bad, but you're just not utilizing the full quality and capabilities of that printer. So I'm going to leave it just like that. I want it to be a little bit bigger. I think that's kind of funny. Let's put it just like that. We can also move it up and down, as you saw I was doing right there. And of course, we can choose the color of the shirt. I think white makes perfect sense here. I think that looks good. But of course, if you wanted other colors, you can select multiple colors, have them all available for this product. Unfortunately, it looks like this little natural color is out of stock temporarily, so I'm not going to select that one. Maybe a gray one. They call it ash right here. Maybe that would be another good color. We could also select the sizes that are available. It doesn't really matter to us, like because we're not holding inventory, we can accommodate larger or less common sizes. Maybe 5XL is not something you'll sell a lot of, but because you're not holding inventory, you can absolutely do that. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is that, as you can see right there, some colors are not available in some sizes because obviously Gelato has to hold stock for that, or their printers do. So not every size is going to be available. Just something to keep in mind, but is worth doing if you want to have that. We can also add designs to other parts of the shirt. So we can add it on the back. We can add it to the inner neck. That could be like your logo right here if you're trying to make more of a brand that's more recognizable. You can have outer neck, so on the back, on the top. We can also add something on the sleeves, which is really cool. So really a lot of flexibility on where you add these designs and what the designs actually look like. For something basic like this, I'm gonna leave it just like that. Maybe I'll put it on the inner neck as well, so it doesn't just say Gildan 5000, it also has my logo there as well. And this might be an example of where I'd wanna just use the text feature here. I'll click add text and we can say Santrel Designs. Santrel Designs. Make this as large as I can. And let's increase this font size. And we'll make it like a Santrel blue. Go there and add Santrel Designs. Okay, there we go. So now that's going to be printed on the inside just like that. So we have that. Now we can click on Continue to Mockups. Once you're happy with the design, click on Continue to Mockups, and we can select the mockup. Something really cool that I've always really liked about Gelato is the way they have this setup so seamlessly integrated. You don't have to go to any third parties and try to like import your image and make it look like it's on another model. Like they do that all for you. You can choose which ones you like. You can also show more. Like they've got a ton of different options down here. And so if I just say, hey, like this looks good. I like two people right there hanging out, wearing this funny shirt. I'm going to click on that. So I'm going to upgrade to Gelato Plus. You get shipping discounts, you get premium mockup tools, and you get some other design tools as well. So I think it's personally worth it. It's also a free trial. And if you don't like it, you can always downgrade, but we're going to upgrade for right now. I'm going to click on Get Free Trial. Like we have to upgrade Gelato anyway, so might as well do that now. And of course, I'll add a new payment method, add my credit card details, and then click on Continue. And then I'll bring you to this page right here. So we'll say Continue to Gelato. And now we're able to use any of these premium mockups, like I said. So we can go with this one right here. We could also make it our primary one if you wanted. And you can choose the image format as well to a PNG or a JPEG. So going down, let's see which other ones would be good. Maybe like this person right here would be pretty good. We can also show like the collar, and we can show maybe this one. We'll show the back. Just some more images of it would be pretty useful. And now we can click on downloads. We're going to have all of those available just in case we want to use them any other places on the website or on flyers or anywhere else you might want to use it, social media, for example. It's good to have these mockups downloaded in full resolution rather than having to like take screenshots of your store sometime later. So these are all saved. We'll say continue to details. And now we can add a lot more information here about this product. And you'll see this is all going to get ported over to Shopify. So it makes your life a lot easier when you can just add everything in just one spot right here. So we're going to say this is going to be, even though that's what it is, let's call it Sunday Filet. Heavyweight unisex crew neck t-shirt. Looks good. We can add a little description there. Sometimes what I like to do then is go over to ChatGPT and tell it like I have this t-shirt, please come up with a description. I'm going to say enter, see what it comes up with. All right, so maybe something like that looks good to me. I'll highlight it, copy it, and we can just paste that down here. Paste that down there. It's maybe a little bit long. And then we can go down to the table. We're going to have the size table. Looks good so people can see the sizes of things, get an idea of what the right size for them is. Should ideally reduce returns, even though like it's a pretty common t-shirt. So I think a lot of people know what size they would wear here. I wouldn't expect returns to be particularly high related to fit on this product. But like longer sleeves are a very common one. You might see a lot more returns on. So that is something we'll talk about later in the video. Now, as far as tags, we can add some tags for this one. You can have up to 13 of them. So I don't know, for my website, I don't really think I need tags on this specific, but let's just add some anyway. So let's call this t-shirt. T-shirt, this is going to be graphic, humor. Maybe we'll have that. We can have collections as well. So homepage collection, sure, that makes sense. Show product to store visitors. Yes, display free shipping on your storefront. That's also something I want to do. And now we can say continue to prices. So we'll find out how much this is actually going to cost to make, and then figure out how much we should actually be charging when we sell this. So they have a retail guide already on how much we should be selling it for. They're saying anywhere from $20.88 up to $32.58. Seems pretty reasonable to me. I think I would agree with that. And you'll see right there, shipping cost is $3.96. Estimated production cost between $10 and $16. And it'll tell us what our actual profits are going to be on the end. So we can say, hey, we want our profit margin to be, you could say maybe 30%, and it'll calculate everything for you right there. So we could also say maybe we want profit to be 60%. It gives us a little more leeway for our marketing, but of course it is going to be tougher to sell when it's like a $30 t-shirt, right? That's pretty tricky. So I think leaving this right around like 40 to 50%, 50%, I'm just going to do that for now. Obviously, this is something you need to like figure out on your own, depending on how great your design is and how much people are willing to pay for it versus how much your marketing costs, how much earned marketing and media you're actually able to get as well. All of that is going to be a really big factor in this. So the reason we're seeing a price range, by the way, is that each color is going to be a different price. All the sizes, from what I'm seeing, are typically the same, except for like the 2XL and the 3XL. Those are going to be a little bit more expensive. But you might say, hey, like I actually kind of want these both to be the same price for the colors. So I can make them both $24. You can manually input each price here, or you can just click on right here, like right here, you could say, I want everything that's a medium to be $24. We can just make that like a flat price there. So that'll give us slightly different profits between the ash and the white. You can see we're looking at 56 versus 50% profits, but that's rooted in something out of our control, the difference in the cost of the colors for the different shirts. So once you're happy with all of these, we can then click on publish, and our product is being published. It's almost ready to go. So now in the meantime, let's start working on our next product. We're gonna click on add product right here, and we wanna sell maybe, all right, so our product is now published successfully. Now we want to make a new product. So now we want to make our next product. Remember before I said you can make a design in Gelato and use it on multiple products? Well, if you click on add product, you'll see multiple products is an option. Alternatively, if we made them in Canva separately and we want to bring them over here, you can do single product at a time. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, just a matter of preference. I'm going to click on single product. And now maybe my next one is going to be, let's just say a phone case. I'm going to click on phone cases. And so for this one, I want to choose, so maybe I want to choose the tough case. It's kind of a cool one. You can market it as something that's obviously going to protect your phone a lot. It's a tougher phone case. It looks like it's probably a 2-layer case, so more plastic and then more of a rubber on the outside. And it's $11.55. I don't know if you've seen phone cases lately, but they're selling for much, much more than $11.55. Like many phone cases out there are selling for like $40 to $60 or even $80, which kind of blows my mind that people pay that much for phone cases. A lot of times those include something else, maybe MagSafe or something like that on the back. But even just a simple phone case like this that has a really cool design could definitely sell for far more than $11.55. So we're gonna go with this design, and I'm going to choose the model. So I want to sell this for an iPhone 14 Pro. You can have other models as well, obviously, but I have a 14 Pro, so that's what I'm going to be designing this for now, so we can test it out, and then later we can add in the other models as well. So this is, okay, so we have the design, we have the model right there. Now we can go and add some files. So I'm going to upload a file, or you could also just use this one as well. That is kind of funny if you're able to scale that down. That would make a pretty funny phone case, actually. I kind of like that. I could use that on my phone, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to upload another file. So choose file. I'm just going to use the Santro logo for now, just to show you how this is actually going to be set up. It wouldn't be something I would genuinely sell. Like no one wants to buy our logo there, but I'm going to add that right now. So there is the logo. I'm going to change it to an angle somewhere right around there. We can expand this a bit and kind of stretch it out. So maybe that's, I don't know, maybe I'm a weirdo and that's like just what I want on the back of my phone. And so stuff like this could be great. One, if you're selling print on demand and you're just trying to create a new brand, you want to make something funny or interesting or captivating on here, that makes a lot of sense. Another category for print on demand that I haven't really talked about much in this video, but I think is a really strong use case, is anybody who already has a following on any kind of social media, whether that is YouTube or TikTok or something like that, and you either want to make merch or you want to make something specific that your audience would really like, and because it's your product, you're going to be capitalizing the most on the profit involved. So this is something that we see a lot with, like, Barstool Sports does this. Whenever there's something in the news, you know they're not necessarily buying, I would suspect they're not buying a lot of inventory, in order to have such a fast turnaround on new designs that are so relevant to like funny things happening in sports or politics or just in the world in general, in order to make those so quick, I would really bet that they're doing print on demand. It just makes the most sense that that's not how you get stuck with inventory. It's a really good quick turnaround. Print on demand makes sense for that. And a third option would be if you have like your own company and you want to have like internal merchandise for people. So like a company phone is kind of what this would make the most sense for, to have your logo on the back. But I would suspect most people watching this video are with the first of those three categories, trying to make something that can sell to a new audience that doesn't necessarily know you yet. Although knowing you is going to help a lot, and we're going to work on that later on in the video when we get into our marketing chapter here. So I'm going to say continue to mockups here. Sorry for the little aside. I think it's very important to understand where this would be used. And these mockups are really good. Like, I actually really like this one. This is arguably better than what it would look like if I actually took that picture. Now, we will be taking pictures later. So let's just choose these two right here. We'll say download. Actually, I should really make this one primary. I like this one. I like this one best. No, I like this one best. That's going to be our primary photo right there. And we'll say continue to details. And now, once again, we can add our description and stuff like that. And we can add all of that stuff here. We'll continue to prices. And the price for this one, let's just say it's $40. So let's just say $35. $35 gives us a lot of shipping, gives us a lot of profit on there. But of course, shipping is going to be a bit of a burden there, $3.31. If we're absorbing that as free shipping, you want to keep that factored in. Now we're going to say publish. And another thing you'll notice is within this little all products category, you'll see these three little bubbles right here. So 12 of them are connected. They're good to go. They're ready to sell. 0 are not connected, so you don't have to worry. If you ever see 1 or 2 or anything like that, you're gonna have some issues there. And of course, any variants that might be ignored. So if you had an issue, you went and you decided to ignore it, that would show up over there. So you want to see everything, all the numbers in the green. That looks good. That's exactly where we are right now. Now I'm going to rush through 2 more designs real quick. Then we're going to order a sample, and then we're going to go over and start building out this store. I think having samples ordered as soon as possible kind of gives you a nice advantage because it'll show up in a couple days, and you'll be able to actually start taking pictures with them and see what they look like. Personally, it gets me more excited about selling something when I'm actually able to see it as well. So let's add 2 more quick products. Add product, single product. I'm going to go to a hoodie. So for this one, I want to go to embroidery. So just kind of show you how that would look. The embroidery is going to be up in the top left, top right when you're looking at it, but top left when you're wearing it. If we go to files, I'm going to add in this logo right here. We'll have that embroidered up there, and then we'll have the Santrel logo below that. So maybe Santrel Media could be about this size here. This could be a little bit larger. Now let's zoom out and see what that looks like. I think it looks pretty good. That looks pretty clean. Maybe move it down slightly. It's kind of hard to choose exactly where this is. Generally, kind of keeping it centered works best in my experience. But again, kind of need to experiment a little bit. Zoom out, see what it looks like, zoom back in. I think that looks pretty good. That looks good to me. I'm going to continue to mockups and kind of go through the same process once again. And then one last product, we're going to talk about something completely different, and this would actually be a mug. So I think mugs are kind of something people sleep on. It's a really popular product that most people have on their desk. They use it every day. It doesn't have to be something you wear. Like sometimes I wouldn't wear a graphic, like a comedy thing. I wouldn't necessarily wear something that looks funny on a t-shirt. I don't like wearing sayings and stuff like that. But something like a mug would be a lot funnier. I've seen like the little Excel mugs that say like freak in the sheets, like Excel sheets. That's hilarious. I would definitely use that mug, but I would never wear that on a t-shirt. So I think mugs kind of expand your potential audience and who might be buying it. And the mugs here, we've got a lot of different ones. I think the enamel mug is actually quite interesting because it's very different from your typical little like plain ceramic white restaurant mug. This is something that I think more people would potentially be interested in, or at least view as more of a premium product. So that could potentially mean that they're willing to pay a little bit more, despite an enamel mug not necessarily costing that much more to make. So let's go and customize this once again. Continue to mockups. We'll choose a couple of these once again. Some of them look better than others. Looks pretty good though. And we can download them and continue to details. And here you can see, because this is a much more frequently sold product, you can see your price versus others on this little graph right here, which I think is actually pretty useful. You see a lot of people are selling for about $17.35, seems to be the average. Right now I'm selling for $19.16. So maybe we have to drop this a little bit. Maybe we can say, hey, to be more competitive, according to this tool right here, this should be something more like $17.50. You can also see on this graph what, like, the higher prices are $23.99, typically a little more premium. $15.31 is more of a budget-friendly price. So keep that in mind. Kind of gives you a nice idea of what the scale could be for what you'd sell this for. I'm gonna keep it at $17.50 just for now. I don't know, just because. Then I'm gonna say publish. So all 4 products are now published. If we go over to orders, we can create our first sample order now. So if we go over to new order, we can say add product. We're going to select from our store, the Shopify store, which we haven't yet named. And let's say we wanna get a mug, so we can select the mug. We can go down here and select a hoodie. I wanna get maybe the extra large one, a little bit more comfortable. And we can get like an iPhone case, and we can also choose one of these. We'll get one of everything. Might be good to try other sizes, but at least one of each is probably a really good start. And then eventually you can purchase other sizes to make sure that those look good as well. But starting with one could save you a lot more money. And remember, because we went through the link below, we should be getting 50% discounted on this order. So we'll go and say continue. You see right there, the unit price is cut in half on all of these, which is pretty nice. We've got our 50% discount on the first order. So everything in our order is right there. We'll say continue to shipping, add our shipping information, then continue to payment. And the retail price, I'm just gonna make it the same because it's rhymed for myself, so we don't need any profit on there necessarily. So we'll say pay securely. And that order is now pending. We can see down here the status, so that'll turn green in just a minute or two. In fact, we can even refresh this and see if it updated just yet. So still pending, fulfillment still just created the order, hasn't done anything yet. But we want to keep an eye on that in case the payment method was rejected or there's something wrong with the design or anything like that. You'll be notified down here. So pending payment. Like I said, we'll see that in just a minute. Now let's go over to our Shopify store. So then we can go back to our Shopify store. Now Shopify has a lot of power. There's a lot of stuff to do here. So I'm gonna walk you through basically a checklist, step by step, how to build out your Shopify store with as little effort as possible, but also without missing some things. A lot of people kind of scramble around on their own and they miss some really important things that make it look like such a kind of an amateur store, honestly, when people are shopping on the site. For example, like right now it's titled My Store. Like we're gonna change that later on so that when people go to visit your website, it doesn't say My Store on the top of their browser. Like little things like that really add up to essentially give the user a more premium experience and not make them feel like they're shopping on an amateur website. Like you want them to feel comfortable and ready to buy from you and trust you, obviously, which is very important. So the first thing we want to do, we're going to click on Online Store and we're going to start designing the website itself before coming back to the back end here. So if we see right now, we have Dawn is the theme that they gave us. So if we scroll down, you'll see there are a lot of other themes that are very popular. We can scroll through these or we can actually just browse the theme library. So we can click on add theme, visit the theme store. You can also upload your own if you have a third-party theme out there. I don't have one to give you right now, so we're gonna browse the free themes that are available with Shopify. So we'll say explore themes, and there are a lot here. So 177 themes right now, and you can look at different colors for each of them. You can look at a lot of different variations of them. But let's say I wanna see only the free ones. So on the left side, let's just select free. It gives us 12 options now, which isn't a ton, but that's really all you need because it's gonna be just a different layout for each of them, and we can then customize the colors and everything like that. So if you're selling one product, something like Origin is a really good one in my opinion. If you're selling a lot of products, there are some other great options. Spotlight's always been a favorite of mine, as well as Refresh. And so for this video, let's actually go with Refresh. I kind of like that one a lot. Kind of a cool, modernish design. We're gonna try the theme. You can also view a demo store real quick. It'll show you like what the whole thing looks like. Looks pretty good, pretty basic, but I think that's gonna do the job. So I'll say try theme. So then in our theme library, you can see down here, we have it ready to go. We can customize it. Now what's really cool is you can publish one theme at a time. So if Dawn is your current website and everything's looking good there, but you wanna totally rebuild your website, you can build one down here in your theme library, customize the whole thing, and then when you're ready, you can publish this one and replace the other website. So that way you don't have any kind of weird website in construction. Because we're getting started out, we don't have any traffic yet. So we're just gonna publish the refresh one so we can start using that immediately. That way when we go to our domain, we'll see it, we'll know that it's right. So I'm just gonna click on publish down here, click on publish. That'll say that it's currently password protected. Yes, it's gonna replace Dawn. We'll say publish. and that'll swap out those two. Just like I said, pretty easy to change your whole website just by changing out and publishing the latest theme that you have. So we currently have a password on our website, so nobody can go in and accidentally order anything, just in case we have some sample like demo products that came with the theme that we don't want to be selling, like a soap, for example. We don't want anyone to place that order because we don't actually sell soap. So we'll remove that password later, but first let's go to customize. So our website really just brought in that theme. It's pretty basic right now, and it imported those products just like we said, which is really nice. They're featured products on our website already. So the way this Shopify site is set up is in something called a section layout. So we have these different sections outlined in blue. The first one, of course, is our header on the top. That's going to be navigation and stuff like that. The next one is this little slide right here that just shows like a button for browsing our latest products. This down here is one big section. Usually you can differentiate the sections by the background they have. So dark blue, a light section, a photo background section. Those are the different sections we have. If we wanted to add another section in between them, we can click on, like hover over this little plus and then click on add section, and we can choose a format for that section. So it could be a featured collection, as we have right below down here. Alternatively, it could be a bunch of text. It could be just a paragraph. It could be an image with some text. That's a really popular one. It could be, for example, a featured product. That's what I'm going to add right here. And it's kind of a nice way to show like just one product and tell a little bit more about it and make it easier to purchase that without having as many clicks. One of the big goals of a successful website is to minimize the clicks required, minimize the barrier more or less, to actually purchase the product. So if somebody gets on your website and they can buy it right away, that is going to improve your conversion. So they don't have to click on another button to another button to another button to then go and buy. So now within each section, you have different elements. This section, you're not going to be able to customize each element necessarily. Instead, it's all baked into one section. But other ones, for example, you could choose how many columns or featured products you have. You might be able to add another paragraph or another button down here. But going with one section at a time, let's say the featured product. On the left side, this is where all of the customization happens. We can start off by selecting the product. And let's select, maybe for this one, I really like the tough case. I think that those mockups honestly just look so good. So we can select that one as our first product. We're going to say select, and then down here we can choose the color scheme. We can choose the media size if we want that to be larger, right there, medium or small. I think medium looks really good, kind of a good balance between the text on the right and the image on the left. You want people to really get their eye caught by the image, and this one I think absolutely does the trick. We can choose the media fit if it's going to be a fill or an original fit. That looks fine as it is. It actually doesn't really change much. And of course, we can choose the media position if you want it on the right side or the left side. So if you have two of these back to back, maybe one would be on the left side and the next one would be on the right, kind of to break up the monotony of it and make it look a little bit different. Additionally, you can kind of mess around down here with the padding. That's going to be the buffer area above. So if we add a lot more padding, you'll get a lot more space up there. I'm going to say Control Z to, I'm going to bring that back down to 32, or I think it was at 36. Let's go back to 36. And so we have matching padding on the top and the bottom. Additionally, you can change some more advanced things. If you have somebody to write some code for you, there is CSS down here. You can add some custom CSS. Most people aren't going to need to do that for most websites out there. So that is one little section right here. And you can see all I really did was import the product, and everything else was added pretty automatically. Like I really didn't have to do much here. But let's check out another section right here. So this section, I'm not particularly fond of this, but we would be selecting an image behind there. We could change the font. Like I said, I really don't like that. So let's click on this block, and we are going to remove that section. Click on Remove Section on the bottom, and that will be deleted. So now our store just has a product suggestion on the very top. It has our other featured products below it, and nothing really down here. Now, so let's add a frequently asked questions section. Now this we could either add between these two, or on the left side you'll see this kind of hierarchy tree here. This is going to make it easier to place things exactly where you want. So on the very bottom, above the footer, but below this featured collection, I want to add it right here. So I'm going to click on Add Section on the left side, below featured collection and above the footer. And this could be collapsible content. That's going to be perfect for a frequently asked questions section, and we can customize this really quite a bit. So the caption on the top, we could call this one, this is going to be frequently asked questions. The heading size looks good to me. And then down here we can choose what those questions actually are. So And maybe by default, we have the first question opened. I don't really see the need to do that right away, but let's go and actually customize each of these. So if we click on them, you can just click on the first one, and this is called collapsible row. Let's say this one is let me say all, so we can add that. We'll add another one by clicking down here, and this one can, now if you click on sections on the top left, that'll bring you back to that hierarchy tree, and you can add more collapsible content, more of these little FAQs there, or you can remove them by clicking on them and then clicking on remove block. So now we have these. If you just kind of interact on the right side of the screen here, you can see what it'll look like. Clicking on the arrow will open up that entire box. People can learn more about it. This could also be a good way for Google to identify these questions. So make sure you put the proper keywords in both the question and in the answer so that people are able to find this on Google when they search for that question about your product, as well as when they're just on your website. You want it to be easy for them to find the information they're looking for. Now let's add one more section down here and say maybe this is going to be some more information about us in general. Let's add image with text. I think that's a pretty solid one here. So we'll click on image with text. We can select an image, and maybe the image here is going to be these people wearing that shirt. And now we can add some text here and say Santrell. So we'll add a little paragraph there. You can go back. And so far, I think our website's looking pretty clean. We've got our product up on the top, just one product. If you're trying to sell one, that makes the most sense. Maybe the collection could go above there if you're trying to really promote a bunch of different products. But I think just kind of showing you the idea of how you'd set up this website, that's a really, really good start. But we haven't yet edited the header or the footer. So if we go back to homepage here, we can go back up to the top, click on, first of all, announcement bar. We don't even have the announcement bar. We do have it on, but we don't have anything customized there. So if you click on announcement bar, we can customize what this says. And this is a great place to add either free shipping announcements or a sale, for example. And so let's actually set up a sale. We'll add this as a coupon or a discount in just a second, but let's add the text here for it now, just so that it kind of helps when people go to the site that they'll be able to say like, oh, well, there's a sale right now. I should probably go and make a purchase. Now there is a lot of research out there to suggest that it's not going to be enough to add like an artificial time limit on this. So if you say 50% off this week only, a lot of people kind of know that you're just pressuring them to buy. If instead you tie it to an event, so like their birthday would make sense, not for an announcement, but for like a sale, that would make sense. Or another option would be a seasonal thing. So you could say Christmas sale this week only. And that way people know it's not an artificial deadline. It really is based on like an actual thing. Like it's based on the holiday season, or it's based on the month, or it's based on whatever might be happening. There's a reason that those perform a little bit better. So for here, we are going to click on, so within the announcement bar, if you click the little drop-down button, you'll see welcome to our store. So I can click on that. I could change that and say, first of all, let's start off with get 10% off with code Mike. And we could have a link if you wanted to. You don't necessarily have to have that, but you could just say maybe the link's going to go to products, and you can just link to all products. And that way people can go and start shopping if they just click on that right now. So get 10% off with code Mike. See how it kind of underlines it? There's a little arrow, a little action, call to action there. So if they click on it, it'll bring them over to the products page, and they can start buying whatever they want. They'll just type in code Mike, and they'll be able to save that 10%. So that is the announcement bar. We can also add other announcements and cycle through them. So maybe we could say free shipping. Once again, you could either go to like a collection, maybe just say homepage, for example, the collection, whatever. And then if you go back to the announcement bar and you click on the words announcement bar here, you can choose the actual cadence, how fast it's going to switch between them. So maybe every 6 seconds, we want to switch between different announcements on the top, kind of keep it moving a little bit. You don't have to do this. Of course, play around with it if you want to use this and find the right amount of time. But I think maybe 5-6 seconds seems like a pretty reasonable amount of time for somebody to see it, digest it, and then obviously go and use those sales, use those promotions. Now moving down to the header. If you click the little down button, you'll see there is nothing else in the header, no extra blocks. It really is just the header. You could add some other blocks up there if you wanted to, but I'm going to start off just by clicking on header, and we can customize this right here. So we have our main menu. Those are the three things right now: the home, the catalog, and the contact. And we can customize what that menu is as well. But we can customize what that menu is as well. We'll customize that a little bit later. But for now, let's customize how it looks in the header. You can choose if it's a drop-down, a mega menu, or a drawer menu. So drawer is going to be on the left side right there. That's a drawer. Mega menu, kind of just in the middle. Drop-down menu, it's really not going to change anything right here. It can be a sticky header, so as you scroll down, if you start scrolling up, it pops up right there. You can see we're nowhere near the top, but it does appear. Additionally, you could, or instead, you could have it always there. So no matter what, it's always on the top. The third option would be to have always, but reduce the logo size. So as you scroll down, the logo would get smaller, but it'll still show your navigation there. I like to have it on always scroll up so people can see the entire website when they go down. But if they want to see it going back up, it pops up right away. Scrolling down, there's some other things with spacing you can customize down here, but you'll notice that it does say My Store. So we want to actually change that. That's the name of our store right now. First of all, we could have a logo there, which would be really nice, or at the very least, a proper name of the store. So it's not just My Store. And so I think it's actually time that we save this. It's always important to save as frequently as possible. And now you can see edit your logo in theme settings. So we're going to click on theme settings right there. It'll bring us down to the little gear icon for theme settings, and we can add the logo for our website. So I'm going to select an image for the logo. I already have one here, this is just going to be using Santarell's logo, I think would probably be a good way to do this. So I'll use this right here. It's not going to be ideal because it's blue. It's going to end up on blue right there. But again, you can make a logo pretty easily in Canva, the tool that I showed you a little earlier. Just a quick aside, if we go back to Canva and type in logo, you'll see that there are logo templates. These are going to be like 500 by 500 pixels, a little bit smaller, usually square, and there's a lot of really cool templates that make it super easy to do that. So let's go back to here, and you'll see the logo, like I said, is completely white. You can't really read that. So I would rather just have text up there instead of having our logo. Now, one little sneaky thing with the header is if you have social icons anywhere, which usually they're like on the bottom, or some people add them up on their header, it's worth customizing them now anyway, just in case you decide to add social icons later, or if you accidentally add social icons. So if you scroll down to theme suggestion or theme settings, click on theme settings, a little drop down, we can customize all of these socials right here. So I don't want this to go to twitter.com/Shopify. I want it to go to my own. So I'm going to add those in right now. So ones like Twitter and Instagram, you just type in twitter.com or instagram.com / and then just your username. So Mike O'Brien. So / Mike O'Brien. Same thing with Instagram. TikTok has a little @ symbol there, /@ and then your username. And of course, we're going to save this. And within the theme settings, there's a lot of other things we should be customizing. So the next one is going to be your image for your favorite con. This is up here. See, right now we have a little Shopify logo on the very top. Let's see if you can actually see that. So if I readjust my screen recording so you can see the top, you can see right there, this is the favicon, a little Shopify logo. Over here, Gelato has their little logo. So if you go to your online store and there's a Shopify logo on the top, that doesn't look very professional. So you want to have your logo up there showing up on the browser, or if anybody saves it to, for example, like their home screen, if anyone ever did that on a phone, you want to make sure you're having a good icon right there. So let's select an image, and here I'm going to upload the other Santarell logo. Having your own 2 different logo variants is usually pretty important. So you have one that's a smaller, more square one, and maybe one of a longer logo, more of a font-based logo that could be spread out a little more. And so having this circle up top is going to be very, very beneficial. Then we have colors. So right now, this kind of blue theme honestly looks pretty good. I don't know if I even really need to change that, but it is something that if you want to change, you can have like a lighter version, you can have a darker version. Then we have typography. I don't need to change that. I kind of like the font that's being used here. The layout looks fine to me. Animations don't really matter that much to me. The buttons look good. Everything in here does look good. But if you wanted to change the way your website actually looks, Shopify uses the theme settings pretty heavily. So rather than customizing every individual button, Shopify likes to customize all of them as like a bulk thing. So if you wanted to change how they look, it's almost always going to be over in theme settings. And you can really see basically every type of element, from drawers to badges, media, containers, blog cards, all of these different things are going to be customizable over in theme settings. And you can do a lot here. You can add radius on your images. So you can have like a 20 pixel corner radius is a good one, and stuff like that. You can also customize your cart and your checkout page, which we can actually talk about in just a second as we kind of go through an example order here. And then down here, you'll have app embeds as well. So if you have any other apps embedded in your website, so if you have like MailChimp, for example, you could have that and kind of have like a really nice little block down here that would allow people to subscribe and go directly into MailChimp instead of here, which is going to be managed through Shopify. So let's go back up to sections. Now, another really important thing. I know it seems like we're really spending a lot of time on this website, but it's really important. The next most important thing I would say by far is going to be viewing this not in desktop mode. So even though we like to design the website on a laptop, and in our heads we kind of think everybody's going to be visiting from a desktop or a laptop, the truth is that is almost never ever true. Like, I could bet a pretty good amount that you're gonna have a majority of your visitors coming from mobile, especially if you're running any type of advertisements on TikTok or any social media out there. Running ads on socials almost always converts to mobile purchases. So we want to check this out on mobile. Clicking on the top, there's a little mobile button there, and Shopify really has nice website design that kind of translates over so well. It maps really well to mobile, so there shouldn't be any problems here. But kind of checking it out, you'll see this, I think, looks great. Scrolling down, you can see this also looks good on mobile. Everything seems to be looking exactly as I would want it to on mobile. Maybe this is a little wordier than I would want, but again, it's just important that you check this out, because sometimes some images or some logos, things like that, tend to, like, they might not look great on mobile even though they did on desktop. So it's worth checking both out to make sure it still looks good. We can also check out full screen in case anybody's using like a really wide laptop, or if you just want to feel more immersed when you're editing this. Let's go back to desktop view though, and give it one last look over. So everything here, I think, looks pretty good. Homepage looks good. Now, before we go back to the Shopify dashboard, let's click on homepage here, and I just want to show you, you can customize the pages for a lot of other portions of your website. Even though it's kind of a one-page website for now, you're gonna have product pages, of course, if people want to know more about the product. You will also have your cart, your checkout, things like that. So this little drop-down lets you go to those different pages. Products, for example, it's a default. They're all looking the same, but if we want to go and customize that, we'll click on that, and you can see right here, this is how the product page actually looks. If we wanted to add something below, maybe we want to add a section down here, we could have maybe like return policy, or we could have other featured collections to encourage people to buy other things along with whatever they're already ordering. So let's just say featured collection, kind of makes sense to add that down there. So if someone's on one product page, they scroll down and they say, oh, you know, I like this mug, but I would also really like a phone case. So let's select our collection, say homepage is what I kind of put everything into. And it looks like I only added 2 things to that, but for now, you get the idea. We can add everything else to that collection as well. And so it's kind of a good way to upsell, cross-sell the products that you are also selling on your website. I'll talk more about blogs a little bit later on, but there's some important things we need to do with this site. First of all, it's still called My Store, so let's go and actually customize that. Let's say save, and let's go back to the Shopify dashboard. We'll come back into the editor later, like I said, and talk about blogs and some more intricate, more advanced things. So from the dashboard, on the bottom left, you'll see a little settings icon. If we click on that, there's a lot of settings we can customize and should customize here, including setting up payments, setting up shipping, setting up taxes, and of course, renaming from My Store to whatever we actually want to call it. So I'm gonna click on the pencil icon. I'm gonna rename My Store to Santrell Shop. We'll just call it that. If you have a more creative name, like, definitely use a better name. But for the purposes of this example, I'm gonna stick with Santrell Shop. We will say save, and then from here, we already have a plan selected. Going down, billing is the next one. That's gonna be how we pay for our plan, of course. Below that, we have users and permissions. If you have anybody else on your team, you can add them down here. So we can have up to 2 staff members with the basic account that I chose for this video. If you want to have more staff members, you can upgrade to a higher plan and have, I think 5 is the next tier up, 5 different staff members. Then we can go down to payments. So we want to obviously make sure people are able to pay us. This is super important in accepting any type of orders on here. So right now, Shopify Payments is the default that we will need to complete the account setup for. Great way to accept Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, like a lot of different Amazon Pay, MetaPay, like all these different ways that people can pay for things. Additionally, PayPal is another good one that you can have set up down here. Fees are going to be slightly different. Or if you want to have other manual methods down here, you can add those as well. But let's go and complete the account setup. So these are pretty straightforward. You just click on them. They're going to walk you through like some basic information. You'll need to know your address and your EIN or your SSN, depending on how your business structure is set up. We'll set up 2-factor authentication, add the banking information so you can actually get paid, and then that is basically all you need to do. So click on Submit Details to get started. So Shopify Payments is now set up. Of course, we can set up PayPal as well. I might do that a little bit later, but let's continue down and kind of move along with this video. We have checkout, of course. This you can customize. I showed you a little bit more about the checkout page before, but this is going to be more in line with what is requested from the user. So phone number or email, you could say maybe just email instead. Maybe you don't want phone numbers. You don't have a means of contacting them by phone. So maybe email is what you want. Additionally, you can go down and say, hey, maybe we don't actually need company name. We can make that optional. We can make that don't include because you're not selling B2B necessarily, and things like that. So going down, I recommend reading through this, check out each one and see which one makes the most sense. Something worth mentioning with payments is when you're setting up Shopify payments, make sure you have a good descriptor for what your company is. This is what's going to show up on the credit card statements. If it's something random that people don't recognize, they're far more likely to dispute the payment with their credit card, and that's just going to create a headache for you trying to get your money that you rightfully do deserve because they did pay you. So make sure that it is set up as basically your store name or something very recognizable, so on somebody's statement, they'll know where that money actually went. Then we have customer accounts. You could have this set up so people are able to log in and order more things in the future. Kind of a nice feature to have. I recommend eventually setting this up, especially if you have more than a couple products on your store. If you just have like a 1 to 4 product store and you don't think it's something people are going to repeat purchase a lot, then it might not really be worth it to spend much effort on this. But for larger stores, I think it would really go a long way. Additionally, self-serve returns, I have this set to off. The return process, we'll talk about how you can set that up, but if you wanted to make the returns a little bit more easy, you could turn this on. It's a little bit less of your time dealing with returns and more of an automated process. It does make it easier for people to return, which means returns will potentially be higher, but at the same time, you want customers to be happy in the end, and you want your time to be used on what really matters, so maybe it makes sense to turn this on for your business. Then we have shipping and delivery. Right now, the shipping profile, we're using Gelato for that, so we don't really need to worry too much about this. Gelato's handling most of that for us. We have taxes and duties. Of course, you want to set up based on what country you are in. Look up your local tax laws. Make sure you are following all laws and regulations in your area, but you'll be accessing that right here. Of course, we have gift cards down here, so if you want to sell this on your website, if you want people to be able to buy a gift card, a digital gift card, it's pretty easy to set this up. They never expire. You could set it up as a product sold on your site. Pretty easy to do. In fact, let's just go on a quick little detour. I'll show you how to set up a gift card. If we go up to products, right now all the products are going through Gelato, but underneath products, you'll see gift cards. If you click on gift cards, we can create a new gift card or add a gift card product. So you could just have a gift card code. So if you create a gift card, this is a one-off thing. If somebody gives you cash in the store and wants to buy a gift card, if you add a gift card product, this will be listed on your store. So you could say maybe this is like you've got different denominations, anywhere from $10 to maybe like $500 if you want to make it a little bit larger. And you can add your little description here. You can add the title of it. This is going to be gift card, and you could add an image as well. Maybe your logo would make a lot of sense for this one, or a picture of a synthetic gift card, a little fake gift card. Again, maybe something you might make in Canva. So we will save this one, and now you have a gift card set up. Somebody can buy that. It's all really set up on Shopify's backend, so you have very little that you actually need to worry about with regards to gift cards. But moving down, we then have apps and sales channels. Right now, we're only selling with our online store. We have Gelato. We're not selling through anything else just yet, but if you want to set up other sales channels, you'll see down here, if I close down and go back to my dashboard, click on home, you'll see down here, sales channels. We have a lot of different sales channels options. You could sell directly on TikTok with TikTok Shop. I have a full video showing you how to do that. You could sell through Instagram, for example, and Facebook. You could sell in many Google Shop, for example. There's a lot of different things that I recommend setting up, and these sales channels can really go a long way. Additionally, if you are you're probably not selling this kind of stuff in person, but if you wanted to buy a couple of inventory and you wanted to sell at like a local market, point of sale is another option that Shopify does offer, where somebody can come to you, give you cash, or pay you with a credit card in person, and you can sell and track all of your inventory through the point of sale tools on Shopify. Again, we have another video on that one. I don't think that's particularly relevant for print on demand though. Continuing down in our settings, like I said, we talked about gift cards, we talked about sales channels. The domain is the next one that I really think we should set up. So right now, it's going to be this right here, 6F, B4D, whatever, like that's not okay. We need to have a proper domain when somebody goes to our website.com, for example. So you can connect an existing domain. If you went to a new tab and went to Namecheap, for example, that's a really common way to buy a domain. I recommend going directly through Shopify. It makes your life a lot easier. It connects much faster, and everything's managed in one space. You don't need more passwords. It's what I typically do, but keep in mind, you could save a couple dollars per year if you go and connect from an external source. But I'm gonna go to buy a new domain, And when you're looking for a domain, there's a couple ways you can go about doing this. You can just start typing them in here and finding them. That's typically what I do. So santrellmerchshop.com, pretty basic. That's not really something a lot of people are seeking. $15 per year. Honestly, it's a pretty reasonable price. But if it's ever not available, so if I looked up like santrellshop.com, there's a chance that I might have used that in the past. No, I did not use that. But maybe like santrell.com. Let's go to Santrell. Santrell.com is not available. So a lot of times they'll say, hey, maybe santrell.store, santrell.shop, santrell.co. There's different endings you could use. I think .com for most stores is going to be probably the most recognizable for a lot of people, easy to remember, easy to type in later. So I'm going to go santrellmerchshop.com. Santrellmerch.com, is that available? It is available. So let's go with something simpler. The simpler the domain, generally, the better off you're going to be. So I'm going to buy this domain. It is $15 per year. You purchase the domain. I ended up going with santrellmerchshop.com. It was lying. It said santrellmerch.com was available. It actually was not. But then you have to actually go and verify your email address. So open up your email. You're going to click verify email. And then this should already be set up. It should be ready to go. All right, so I verified the domain. It's going to take a second until it actually registers. Additionally, SSL is pending, but Shopify does give us SSL, which is the encryption on your website. If you go to any other website, typically you'll see a little lock icon in the top corner that says connection is secure. And this is something you want to have. Obviously, Shopify gives it to us. So we don't need to worry about that. But again, customers are looking for that. That really matters a lot. But now what we want to do is make sure that right here it says domain type, primary domain. If you click on change domain type, it could redirect, it could have an alias domain. You just want to make sure it says primary domain. Definitely that is what we want to have there. Then going down on the left side, we've got customer events. This is not something we really need to set up right now. This is going to be our pixels that can be tracking different items or different events that happen on your store. Typically, this is more powerful when we're doing Facebook advertising, or a lot of other ads out there do have a pixel, and we will get into that eventually. But for now, we don't need to worry about that. Anything else on here I think looks fine except for policies. And Shopify is this really cool thing where they can actually draft policies for you from a template. Alternatively, you could use ChatGPT or something like that, but always make sure you are reading the policy. Too many people just click create from template, as you can see right there, and they move on. But this is your policy. So you want to make sure that you know what your own policy is. And if you have to change anything, change it right now before anybody reads it, buys something, and then tries to do something that you didn't realize was part of your policy. So as you scroll down, you can see we have a refund policy and just like the template. I'm just going to go through. I know I said not to do this, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to just click create from template. I've read these in the past, and so I'm just going to keep these for now. We've got our terms of service. We can create from a policy. We can create from a template. Our shipping policy, we have to actually make this on our own. And our contact information, you could create that from a template as well. Our contact information, if you click create from template, I'm going to blur this out so I don't dox myself, but this is going to populate with your address and your phone number and your email and other things like that based on what your account information actually said about you. So now let's click save on the top, and we can X out of this. Let's go back to where we were. And so now the settings are pretty well structured in my opinion. So now we kind of have our store more or less ready to go. If we go to a new tab and we go to Santrell Merch Shop, merchshop.com, this should take us over to our website. But you'll see right now there is a giant lock. So there's one big thing we forgot to do. If we go back to our site, remember in the beginning I said it was password protected. So if we go to online store, we have a password on our website. So nobody's able to access it and accidentally order anything. So we can now remove the password. Let's click on remove password. You'll see a little green bar on the top letting us know that everything's ready to go. People can visit the website. And now we can go to the new tab and check out our website, santrellmerchshop.com, and it'll take us to our website. So the website, honestly, looks pretty good right now. If we wanted to, say, order this mug, you can click on the mug and learn more about it. It takes us to the product page. Looks good. Remember the featured collection we added down there also looks pretty good. We can buy it with Shop Pay, so right away, like instantly buy this. Pretty easy to do. Or we can add it to the cart. Shows over there. Look at that. We didn't even do anything, and this is already like, this is really well set up. Like I didn't have to add that animation. Shopify just knew to do that based on the template we added. Then the checkout page looks really clean. This is extremely common. Honestly, so many websites use exactly this checkout page that I wouldn't even want to change it, because it's a lot of customers are very conditioned to seeing this, being familiar with it, and paying very easily. Like there's also pay buttons on the top, so makes it even a faster checkout, easier to convert to an actual sale. And I would say that looks pretty good. So going back, other things we have, of course, catalog and contact. Remember I said we have this menu here. We could customize that menu. Looking at this right now, these look good. Like everything looks pretty good. Contact page. I don't think I actually need to customize that menu at all. But for the sake of showing you how to do it, let's go back to our dashboard, Shopify dashboard. If you click on online store, you'll see themes. Yes, we already did that. If you go down to navigation, however, we have two menus. We have one on our header and we have one on the footer. So if we just click on main menu, that's the header menu here, we could rename it if we wanted to. We could add more items, and these items could be a link to a page, they could be a product, they could be a catalog, they could be something completely different. Maybe the policies would make a lot of sense. So let's just say we're going to add a link to privacy policy, and let's just add that right there. In fact, actually, let's not add that there. Let's delete that. I want that to be on the footer. That's definitely a footer item. If we go back to main menu, let's go to footer menu. Let's add that to the footer. Pretty easy to do. Let's click on add item. Let's look up the policy. We'll start off with privacy policy, and we'll add that. We'll add another item, and this could be the refund policy. We can add another one for the terms of service. And I think that looks pretty good on the bottom. Let's save that menu, and then on our website, you'll see that'll be showing on the bottom. But like I said, any menu item you see here, you can add an individual link that you type out yourself, or it can be one of these items down here. So if I wanted to link to my YouTube channel, for example, I could say, I could type that in right here, youtube.com/Santrel Media, and just click on that right here, and that could be YouTube, would be the name of this. We'll say add, and now that will be placed on our menu as well. And if you wanted to rearrange the order of this menu, we can click and drag this so that this one is showing up first, which would mean the leftmost on the menu, or the top, depending on the orientation of it, and we can save this menu. Okay, so our store is looking really good, but we need to add some more incentives, some more ways to get people to actually make the purchases. And so for one, we can have discounts. I showed you how to have that discount set up where it just set it on the banner, but that doesn't actually do anything in the shopping yet because we don't have that fully enabled. So in order to enable that, if we click on discounts, we can set up our first discount. Click on create discount, and there's many ways you could do it. You can buy one, get one, you could buy two, get one, whatever, buy one, get five. You can have a certain amount off of products, you can have amount off the entire order, or you could have free shipping on certain things if they type in a code or whatever it is. So we want an amount off the order, so an order discount. We're gonna click on that, and this discount code is going to be Mike, I believe is what we said it was going to be. It is going to be 10% off. We can do percentage, but of course you could also do $5 off or something like that. Sometimes people say $10 off of $50 that you spend. So in order to do that, you could have a minimum purchase requirement. I'm not adding an MOQ on here. And then down here, customer eligibility. It could be only new customers, only specific customers. I'm saying all customers can get this. Maximum discount for users. There is no limit on here from what I'm adding. And we could also change some combinations down here that it can be combined with shipping discounts or other order discounts or things like that. So we can have an end date if you wanted this to be just for the month of January. And I think that is what I said on there. So I'm going to have that end January at midnight. January 31st at midnight. We can save that discount. And now that is functioning on our website. You can make many different discounts. So you can have multiple sales going and kind of make next month's ahead of time so it's ready to go. So you can blast that out in an email newsletter or something like that. A lot of ways you can manage all of that. All right, so now going back to Gelato, there's a couple more things I want to show you here. So we only talked about how to make some basic products with printing or embroidering, but there's actually some other really cool things, like an entire personalization option, so people can add their own stuff and personalize their own products on your site. So this could be great for like anniversary gifts or wedding favors, all types of things where you want, like people might want print on demand for themselves, and they can buy that through you. So going to Gelato's dashboard, your Gelato dashboard, of course, we've got our home tab here, our product catalog. You can browse through all the different products to make. Orders, of course, tracking the orders that you placed, other orders as well. We have stores. Right now we're set up with Shopify. You could also have another one set up through WooCommerce or Wix or whatever. Shopify obviously makes the most sense. I just keep one at a time. And then we have Personalization Studio. So this is actually a fairly new feature on here. Really cool. I'm going to click on Try It Now. So we're going to say sync seamlessly with Shopify. We're going to say Try It Now. We're going to design on our Shopify store. And let's just say that we're going to do, I think mugs are a pretty easy one. So mugs, we're going to go with just like a basic 11-ounce ceramic mug. Looks good to me. We can choose a color or maybe several colors. I think that looks fine to me. Sure, we'll have multiple colors. I don't know. Why not? Why not just have multiple colors? Then we can add some shapes or images. So maybe we want to add, let's see what other options we have. So maybe I'll add like an image. We'll add from device, maybe like a heart would be a good one. Let's get rid of that. Let's say this heart could maybe be in here. Let's add that. Let's make it small. Looks like it's getting cropped a little bit. Let's uncrop that. So it is full size. Make it smaller now. And then maybe below here we can add the personalization. So if we click on personalize, this could be add. So let's keep that on. We'll add a personalization layer, and this could be some text, and the text could be right here. So sample text could be maybe like Mike and Ellen. Or maybe it could be like June 4th, 2022. We can make that wider. We can click and lower that. We can add another layer, so maybe we can add some more text above that, and maybe this will say like Mike and Ellen. So maybe it'll look like this, and you can change, of course, everything about it. So the font size, will make this a little smaller. We can change the font as well, so maybe something a little more cursive would be maybe good. That's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty simple, pretty clean. And so maybe this is what we would want to have. So we've got two personalized layers. People can change that, and they can change the date. Of course, the fonts are going to be set by us. And so now we can say continue to mockups. So this is something that we can get a free trial for, $0 per month plus $1 per transaction. And so they're giving us a couple options here. So based on how many you're selling, it may make sense to choose a more expensive option. And then it's only 15 cents per transaction versus $1 per transaction. I'm going to start off very low because this is brand new. So I'm going to say get free trial with the basic one. We will say continue with the same payment method that we already used before. And now we can continue to gelato. So let's continue to mockups. All right, so we're going to keep this one. Maybe we like that one as well. And maybe that one as well. So we got some mockups here. We can continue to details. Of course, we can keep, you guys know how to edit all these details. Let's continue to prices. And these prices, okay, set to maybe 60% profit. We'll update this. And this is really cool because it's not a massive cost to have it customizable for the end user. Like really a cool feature in my opinion that a lot of people aren't doing just yet. And while this is publishing, I want to point out some other things on the left side. So Personalization Studio, that's what we just had, that's what we just used right now. Of course, templates is another thing. While this is loading, we can go check out some templates right now. So you can create a template and it'll be easier to use on different products in the future. So you save time making a template once and then using that on a lot of other things. We can also have branded packaging as well. So if you want to configure branded packaging, that could be like the box that it actually comes in, the bag that it comes in, maybe a little insert. And this is something that can really go a long way with customers. And especially if something's a little more expensive, like feeling like you're genuinely, like you have a story behind the brand. You're not just somebody selling on eBay or something like that. Like you have a story, you are a real brand. And so stuff like this could really go a long way in having repeat customers, or at least having people appreciate your brand a little bit more. It really, in my opinion, it makes a huge difference. At the very least, I would recommend adding a packaging insert that you could either say like, thank you can give them a discount, whatever you want, something like that, I think could really go a long way. We do also have analytics on Gelato The analytics, of course, they're pretty much everywhere. We've got them on Shopify. We have them on Gelato. We can learn a lot about how things go, the products, the orders, the production country. This is actually different that we don't see on Shopify. This is really cool. We can see the total cost, the products sold, and the orders by country, as well as the product split and things like that. So pretty cool to see analytics here as well. Like I said, we've got a lot of analytics. It's going to be a lot to figure out. It'll take some time for you to figure out which ones are actually the most helpful for you. Then we have Price Navigator. If we click on products, it kind of shows the price guide, not for everything, but for this mug, for example, it says that we're like basically in the middle, if not a tad on the high side compared to many other people out there. We have Mockup Studio. So this is a really cool way to make a mockup template so that we can customize. Remember, we had those mockups from before, but if we have our design, let's choose a file. I don't know, just add this little heart right here, just kind of reusing what's already uploaded right now. So we've got our Mockup Studio, and of course we have some developer options down here if you want your API keys to use somewhere else, or if you have any API documentation you want to read about, that's all down there as well. But like I said, Personalization Studio is going to be a really big one that a lot of other brands out there just don't really offer, and it's just so easy to use and integrate. So let's go back to our products and check that out, see if that's actually there now. So if we go to stores, we click on My Store, it is now available. This is 3 different ones. So now let's actually test that out. So if we go to santrelmerchshop.com, that'll bring us to our site. If we click on catalog, scroll down, hopefully it updated. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. So we already have it. It's in a couple different colors. So if we click on the mug, look at that. It's got different colors. You've got different handles and interiors. We have ceramic pink, ceramic green, and we have some different images for all of them so they can check out. Like, look at that. You can see it sitting on a table. That looks so realistic. The mock-ups, like, I know I said take some photos on your own, but it's really going to be hard to beat that. Like, that is just so realistic looking. And then you'll see over here, this button is so important, personalized design. People can add their own text on there. So if they click on personalized design, it'll take them to this page right here. They can change, so they can't change that, but they can change this. So they could say maybe like Jack and Diane, and maybe like 2010, and they can add that to the cart. So they can have their names, they can have that, they'll go to checkout, and like, look at that, they're buying their own thing. So it says customization right there, they know what they're getting, they're able to order that, and like, it really doesn't change anything on the back end. Like, this is all running still with a print-on-demand shop. They're paying $21 for a custom mug, which is very competitive. I think that honestly, like, a lot of people are very likely to buy that. And if you market this, for example, as wedding favors, you could have people buying a massive quantity of that. Whether it is a mug, whether it is a print, whether it is like, I don't know, pair of socks or whatever, like, there's a lot of different products that really could work well being customized by the end users. All right, so now we get into the section about marketing your store. So there's really 2 main categories, main bins of marketing. There's organic marketing, which costs you essentially nothing. This is going to be any earned media, anytime somebody shares it organically, word of mouth, your own website, your own social media, ranking on Google, things like that. And then the other category is your amplified content. This is going to be where you pay to promote it, running it as an ad, paying influencers to talk about it, paying people to wear it, different situations where you are putting out some amount of money to access a much larger audience. And the benefit of this is that it takes substantially less time to access a much larger audience, whereas an organic route is great because it's free, but you don't rank on Google overnight. It's going to take a long time to do that. So we generally recommend the 2-prong approach. You definitely want to start building your organic content as early as possible so you have that presence for people who are searching for you, so you don't always have to pay for it. But in addition to that, it is very beneficial to have some form of amplified marketing, getting it out there to more people so you're not wasting time just waiting around for traffic to come in to get feedback on whether or not your product is even a good product. Like, you can believe it's a good product, you can survey people and think it's a good product, but until you actually have people purchasing and giving feedback and leaving reviews, like, that is when you really know what you can improve about your product. So let's start off with the organic side. The first thing we recommend setting up, so we have the website, the SEO on that, Shopify makes that super easy. So ranking on Google, as long as we use the right keywords throughout our website, it really should be pretty straightforward. But in addition, we like setting up a Facebook business page, which I know you might be scratching your head saying, Mike, Facebook. Like this is 2024. Why are you using Facebook business page? Well, the truth is it actually does rank on Google substantially sooner than your website will, because Facebook is a pretty well-known platform, and so Google trusts it. It's a lot easier to get ranking on Google with your Facebook business page. So we recommend setting it up like that. In addition, some people do search on Facebook, you're going to be using this anyway for any Facebook ads or Instagram. You want everything to be connected through your Meta dashboard. So starting off just on Facebook, signed into your own account, if you click on this little 9-dot array, the menu, you can go down and create a new page. Clicking on create new page, and we can name this page the name of our store, so Santrell Merch Shop. Category, this can just be clothing brand, maybe would make sense, or mug brand or whatever. And in the bio, we can just have ChatGPT write something super quick. So add a little bio, we'll create the page. Now it asks for our website, so we're gonna put in my domain. You don't have to add in everything else in there, like location and stuff like that. So we can just say continue with whatever information is most relevant to you. No physical location for this, obviously. We're gonna add a profile photo and a cover photo. So maybe the cover photo, I just want like a picture of the products. I don't know if that's a great way to do this. Once we have the products, we'll take another photo and we'll put that there. Honestly, yeah, this doesn't look good, but for now, I'm just gonna leave it there. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna put a different photo once we actually have the products. And then maybe just the logo can go down here. We're also definitely click on this right here, add an action button. You absolutely want to do that. Anybody visiting your Facebook business page, the whole purpose of this existing is to send traffic over to your online store. You want people to actually end up buying. So let's try this. We're going to customize our action button. So I'm just going to say learn more. Technically, I would like to do view shop, but we don't have our Facebook shop set up just yet. So once we have that, view shop will make more sense. But for now, learn more so we can link directly to our website. So I'm going to paste that. We're going to save that. So we'll have an action button over there. Go to next. You can connect WhatsApp if you want people to message you and ask questions about it. I'm going to not do that. We can have notifications on or off for this. I'm going to, and then we'll say done. And that'll bring us over to our Facebook business page. It's not complete yet, but we have a pretty good foundation right now. The basics are going to be there, so we can close out of that. We don't need the little tour at the moment. I'm going to show you everything you need, but let's make a first welcome post. Our first post, maybe it can be including some photos. Let's say add some photos. So maybe we can include like one photo or two photos of each of our products. Just kind of have a little bit of an example so people can see what we're working with here. Maybe we'll have that. We'll add that as well. So we're going to open a bunch of photos and say, I don't know, just add some text right here. And we can say post. So in the beginning, I recommend posting about 5 to 7 posts just to get started. So just something on your page. Additionally, follow it. Maybe get a couple of your friends to like and follow so it's not 0 and 0. It's not really a great look when you're getting started. But you get the idea. Start putting some content out there. You want this to be pretty well fleshed out. And then, of course, we want to go and check out some of our settings here. So if we tap on the 3 dots on the top right, we can, of course, edit the action button. I already showed you how to set up the action button. Additionally, you can change some of your tagging settings, but let's actually talk about how to get into some more advanced settings on here. So if we want to change the sections across the top, maybe we don't need to see like followers or mentions or things like that. We can click on more and we can go down to manage sections and choose which ones we want to add. So we don't really need music, check-in, sports, movies, TVs. Like that stuff doesn't really make sense for this. Reviews given, I definitely don't want that on there. We're going to save it just with the fewer sections. We don't need all of those extra sections on here for this specific business page. So that's a really good start right there. We can close out of this. We don't need that on the left side. And we can, of course, if we ever wanted to edit our bio, we can click on that right there and edit a little bit more about that. Additionally, we can add some details about the reviews. We can add featured right here. So if we want to have any featured photos, I recommend doing that so you can showcase some of your new products. So maybe I want to have these 2 things featured. Maybe I want to include maybe like this one. That would be a really good featured one. So we'll say next, and we're going to save this as our latest products. Our latest products, and maybe the first one, we want it to be this right here. Say done, we'll say save, and now we have a nice little featured collection, or kind of a shelf, a showcase of what our products are really all about. Again, making it as easy as possible for people to learn more about us and actually end up shopping with us. Not a whole lot to do here. That's a pretty good start. Like I said, 5 to 10 posts, a lot of information on there. Add some paragraphs, explain what you are, what you do, more pictures, some videos, just so you become a little bit more discoverable so people know what the brand actually is. So that's the first step there. No. Okay. So real quickly, an Instagram business page. If you go to Instagram and you just sign out, it'll look something like this. It'll show you your profile and say, do you want to sign back in? You can sign in later and we can have 2 accounts signed into Instagram. But let's go down to create a new account on the bottom. We could sign up with email, which is probably what I would rather do with this one. And say our name is going to be the name of the business. Santrell Merch maybe is the handle we're going with. We can agree to the terms of service here. We'll say agree. We'll add a picture, just a profile picture from our gallery. Let's go with this one right here. And we don't want to sync our contacts at the moment. Skip this as well. We can skip this. And that'll put us over on our Instagram dashboard. Now, this is going to be a business profile. So if you go over on the bottom right to your profile, you tap on the hamburger icon on the top right, you can then go to settings and privacy. So settings and privacy on the top, we have to say okay to this. And we want to change this to a professional account. So first we go down to account privacy. We make sure that it is public. It is not a private account. That is good. Then we can go down to account type and tools. Tap on that, and we can switch over to a professional account, or you can add a new professional account. This one, we're gonna switch this over to a professional account. So switch to professional account. With that, of course, we're getting analytics on here. We're getting more buttons. You're getting the ability to amplify and pay to promote different posts. And of course, you have, like I said, other buttons, other contact options there. So we'll say continue. We are going to be a clothing brand. We'll say clothing brand. We can say next. We could display that on the profile as well, toggling a little switch on, so it's a clothing brand. And then we can choose if we are a business or a creator. Pretty subtle difference here. This is definitely a business, not a creator. And we can add a phone number, a business address if we want, and we can display the contact information if we want people to be able to email us. I don't recommend it right here, unless it's inbound stuff. Maybe people could be wanting to collaborate with you, maybe influencers, but more likely they would just DM you anyway, so I'm gonna leave that off. And now we can connect to Facebook. So connecting the Facebook business page to the Instagram business page is really a great way to share posts in both places at the same time, and they're both gonna connect to Shopify very easily in just a minute. So I'm gonna connect to Facebook by logging into, we'll say continue, and then it is connected. Now we can choose which page it is going to be connected to. Santrell Merch Shop, that's exactly what we wanna do. So I'm going to say connect. You probably won't see this many pages here. I've just made a lot of example Facebook business pages in the past, so I've got a ton of not real ones right there. But again, it's connecting to this one, and now it gives us 5 steps to set it up. First of all, completing our profile. This looks good. We should add a bio on here. We'll add a bio. We can add a link, of course, and this link can be an external link over to our store. We'll call it our store as the title of that button. Now we can go back. So the profile is completed. Tap on the little check mark. That's done. Get inspired. You don't really have to do this. I'm just going to hit a little check mark there. They want you to follow people. Grow your audience. This wants you to invite. I'm not going to do that right now. Introduce yourself. This could be like creating your first post. Sure, I'll make a first post. We'll go with this photo right here. Next, and we are going to say okay. We can add a caption. Say okay. So we now have our first post, share posts. So that's done. And you can explore the insights and learn more about that. So we'll talk more about how you can do that later. But if you just X out of everything, it brings you back to, let's dismiss that. It'll bring you back to your page, to your Instagram. If you tap on your profile on the right, let's tap on it again. There we go. So now we are back home. And so here you can see our page looks pretty good. Like there's not a whole lot here. Eventually you'll post more. You want to keep it up to date, obviously. But it's good to have this as another anchor in case anybody searches for this. And also more importantly, so that you have a legitimate version of you so that other people aren't being an imposter of you trying to sell not your stuff, but under your name. You don't want that to happen. Obviously it's illegal, but sometimes that's just a headache to deal with. So it's better to just claim it and establish yourself on the platform as soon as possible. So all right, so now they both exist. Let's go over to Shopify. We'll go down to sales channels, and we should probably connect Instagram and Facebook to Shopify. So it makes it a little bit easier to set up Facebook shopping. So if we click on that, we can install the Facebook and Instagram app on here, the Meta app, if you want to call it that. We'll click on install. And of course, the big encouragement here is to set up the Facebook and Instagram stores so you can shop directly and natively within them. If you scroll down, you'll see some of the big advantages. The in-app checkout is going to be a huge one, so people have less of a barrier. They're not loading another web page on like a kind of pseudo browser opened by Instagram. They can shop directly within Instagram and make a purchase. And again, it kind of lowers the barrier to a purchase. So we're going to get started. There's a lot of advantages to this, but it's worth setting up this as another sale channel. Even if you don't end up using it, it's nice to have this available. So let's kind of go through this, connect our account, say continue. Now we'll say continue again. Then we'll see our business assets. Down here, we should see both Instagram and Facebook. So we have both of them right here. We can connect both of them. And now we can choose if we want to have less information tracked, enhanced information, or maximum tracked. This is going to essentially determine what your pixel is going to look like, how much is tracked. And I leave it at maximum because you are able to do a lot with this. So let's go and view the details down there. Obviously, you want to know what's going on here. And we can then say save. So maximum is what we have right there. Connect to Facebook pixel to track the behavior. We can create a new pixel to track the behavior. That's the pixel right there. There we go. Say confirm. The store details, so we have the email, return window, 30 days. Sure, we'll say save, and we can agree to the terms and conditions. So we'll submit that for review, and once approved, we will have some really deep integrations with the Facebook shop. So it shouldn't take too long. It says it takes up to a minute, but don't refresh the page in the meantime. All right, so now we just have to verify our shop, some extra information. I'm gonna click on that and kind of walk through a couple steps here. Click on start verification on the top, and we just have to add some extra business details or identity documents. So I'm going to follow through with this and say finish. And it might take a couple hours for that to happen. So we can come back to this a little bit later once the verification is complete. Like I said, it could take up to 24 hours. So you see this little pin over here. I recommend clicking on that. It pins it to your sales channels. Just makes it easier to access this a little more quickly. All right, so now let's click on sales channels, and I want to add TikTok. So we'll type in TikTok, search for TikTok in the App Store, and we should find TikTok right there. So this is one that we definitely want to add. It's gonna be great for selling on TikTok for one, but also running ads on TikTok, which we find to be one of the more effective ways to advertise products. A lot of people out there have been kind of focusing on Facebook ads. You've seen a lot of videos about dropshipping and Facebook ads and stuff like that, but TikTok ads, obviously a much younger demographic, substantially more people using it every single day, or more hours of it every single day, at least here in the United States, that's true. And so we find it to be very effective. We're gonna install this to our Shopify store. So adding TikTok into our integrations, we will click on install. And once again, once this pops up, I recommend clicking on that little pin to navigation just so it's easier to access in the future. But you'll see two options right here. First, growing your business on TikTok through TikTok marketing, which is definitely what we want to do. And the second thing is setting up TikTok shop so you can actually purchase directly within TikTok. I'm going to do the first one here first. This is definitely on the amplified side, not the organic side, whereas this one would be more organic potentially. So now let's open a new tab, and in the new tab, I want to go to link number 6. This is going to give you a lot of free advertising dollars. It's going to match dollar for dollar, I believe up to $1,500, so you can get up to $1,500 of ads if you use our link below. That's going to be free for you to use. So that's going to be santrellmedia.com/TikTok. And that should bring you over to this page here. Like I said, spend 100, get 100. So at the very least, we're matching dollar for dollar as you advertise, which can really help get your business off the ground. And if you spend 1,500, you also get onboarding support if you are able to get up to that spend amount. So I'm going to say get started on the bottom, and we have to create our account now. So I'm going to deselect that. I am going to select this, and let's sign up with an email and a password. Then I can click on continue. Solve this little puzzle right here, and then confirm our email. Now we can choose our industry. This one doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna say e-commerce and maybe clothing and shoes. The business name, Santrell Merch Shop, and then click here and agree and say get started. Of course, review the policies and accept that. We can choose manual or automatic payment. I'm gonna go to Ads Manager. And now we can either do simplified mode or custom mode. Now, I like to use custom mode. It gives you a little more flexibility in how you're designing this. Feel free to go with simplified mode if you just want to put out an ad as quick as possible. I'm going to go with custom mode for this though, just to kind of show you some of the extra tools that we have available. So the advertising objective. Now, what we are trying to do is drive product sales. That's definitely the most obvious one here. Some other businesses might be looking to just get general traffic or video views. Maybe you're trying to get leads if you are maybe a consulting firm, for example. But so our advertising objective, it may be tempting to say product sales. Since we don't yet have a TikTok shop set up, website conversions is what we're doing. Everything we're hosting is through Shopify. So we're converting on Shopify, not on TikTok shop. That's the main goal right now. So website conversions is our goal here. So click on that. And then we can go down and choose if we want to have smart performance campaign. So then smart performance campaign would basically skip the ad group entirely and do a lot more on the back end. So it has its own algorithm to figure out which ads perform the best and kind of group them with audiences independently. That's something I recommend playing around with on a different campaign. But for now, getting started, we are going to leave that set to off. Then the campaign name, name this something that makes the most sense. This is the highest level. So keep in mind, we have 3 tiers here. You have one campaign, and then within that, you'll have a bunch of ad groups. The ad groups might be different audiences, different demographics. And then within each ad group, you're going to have a different ad. So you might have like 2 versions of the same ad. Maybe one has subtitles, maybe one doesn't. Maybe one has a male actor or a female actor in it. So those are going to be the different ads that you run to each ad group, and together you'll have campaign. That's the highest level where all of your ad groups are within. So keep this kind of high level. This I'm just going to name based on the shop. It could also be the product that you're trying to advertise here. So I'm going to say Santrel merch shop. So we'll say Santrel merch shop dash conversions. And then we have special ad categories. So we are not doing housing, employment, or credit, so we don't have to worry about that. You could create split test, which splits your insights by ads. We're not going to do that right now. You could do something called CBO, which optimizes the whole campaign budget within this. So again, a little bit more automated, a little bit more hands-off. I'm going to leave that off for now, just so we can really dive in and learn for ourselves on this particular campaign. In the future, that could really be a smart thing to have. And then we have campaign budget. You could also set a budget at the ad group level as well, but I'm going to start off with a high level campaign budget just in case. Like, we really want to make sure that we definitely have an upper limit on what we're spending. So I'm going to say maybe $100 per day. Obviously, you don't want to spend too much money at once, because the first ad you make is not going to be nearly as successful as the 10th ad you make. You're going to be learning, and as you go, you're going to iterate and find better and better ads that convert better. So the goal here is to learn as much as possible, and eventually that will increase your profit margins, and you'll be able to drive meaningful traffic that actually does convert to your online store. So for now, I'm going to start off with $100 per day. Maybe you want to start off with like $50, $30, $20, or maybe $500. I don't know what your budget is, but start off with something that makes sense. Don't blow your whole budget. Try to have a runway of at least a couple weeks so you can really start to iterate on these ads and find something that is successful. The goal here is not to spend all your money on ads. The goal here is to learn what works and then get that really optimized and dialed in so you can start really making more money, and then you can dial up your ad spend. So let's say continue. And now before we go into the ad group, we want to go back and make sure this is connected to our Shopify. So if we go back here, we can click on, you'll see 2 things. We can click on Setup Now. We're going to connect our TikTok business. So TikTok for business, we're going to connect the account. So it should be signed in with this browser. Right there, you want to make sure that that number matches. So if you click on your little profile there, it'll say your username. You want to make sure that matches over here with your username. So I'm going to connect. That is the correct Shopify account. Now we can create the TikTok Business Center account. We're going to click on Create. We're going to connect the TikTok Ads Manager as well. We can choose our data sharing. I'm going to leave it on maximum. We will say Confirm. And this is really what tracks the conversions and optimizes your ads based on, hey, like this person clicked on the ad, they went into your website, and then they clicked off immediately. Or maybe somebody else added it to the cart, but they didn't end up purchasing it. Or maybe somebody else went and actually made the purchase, and that would be a good demographic. That's the right person to advertise to. And you're basically saying, hey, see that person who made a purchase? Advertise more to people like that. So that's really what this feedback loop is here. So let's say finish setup. And now we can go back to TikTok and continue setting up those ads. All right, so the ad name. I'm going to call this group right here, based on some audience. Let's just say they are disposable income. Disposable income, that's going to be who we work with. And then down here, what are we optimizing for? TikTok Pixel. We should have one showing up for Shopify. There it is. It was connected successfully, so that's right there. And the optimization event, what are we trying to do? Well, we want to have a complete payment. That's what we actually care about. So when there is a complete payment, that is fed back into this algorithm as success. And that's what we want, because honestly, that is success. That's exactly what I would be looking for. Then down here, we can choose if we want to have automatic placement or select manual placements. So I'm going to manually select them. So if we choose that, you'll see TikTok. Yes, we want that. We don't want global. We don't want Pangle. Like I just want this on TikTok. So I'm going to leave that right there. You can also include search results. I absolutely am going to do that because those are the people with the most intent, people who are searching for something that is relevant to me. I absolutely want that to be, like, I want them to see my product. They have intent. Also, if you click on advanced settings, you definitely want to leave video sharing enabled. This is what's called earned media. So anytime you make a great ad and people organically share your ad with somebody else, that doesn't cost you money, but you're getting more exposure. In fact, you're getting the best exposure because a friend of somebody is presenting it to them. Again, that is absolutely, you want to make sure that is enabled. I usually disable video download just so nobody steals the video and copies it. They don't download the video and reuse it for themselves and try to have like a ripoff of my account. So I usually turn that off. Going down, we have targeting, and this is where we start to kind of dial in that audience from the 160 million that we're currently seeing. We want that to be a little bit like lower. We want that to narrow down. So maybe we don't want minors to be buying this. They don't have as much disposable income anyway. So maybe you can select, like, maybe these are the main age groups you want. You could add in other age groups as well, but let's just say for now, those are the main demographics that I personally am going to advertise to. We can choose languages. The ad is going to be in English, so I'm going to really only advertise in English right here. I'm going to choose people who with high spending power. You can also choose the household income, which is really impressive. They're able to estimate the income of the viewers. So right now we're looking at about 56 to 68 million. Pretty balanced. If we put this any lower, that might dial it in a little too much, but you know what? Maybe we want to do at least, I don't know. I'm going to leave household income out of it. High spending power should really dial it in for us. And then we can choose anything else if we want to exclude certain people, if we want to include certain people, send any interest that they might have, any custom lookalike. We don't have custom and lookalike just yet. In the future, we will have those set up. But I'm going to leave it as that. That's pretty balanced. That gives us a pretty nice audience. And then we'll let TikTok really figure out what converts best and dial in for us onto that. Now, the daily budget for the ad group right now is $70. I'm going to make this $50. It says at least 70 suggested. So let's leave it at 70. Remember, we had $100 overall for the campaign. Because we only have one ad group in here right now, that's totally fine. In fact, I might even dial this up to 80. So some days we'll spend up to 100, whatever. We're within the campaign limit, but it might have some variation right here. Going down, the scheduling time is fine. We could also choose specific times if we wanted to. So maybe you don't want to advertise on the weekends, or maybe you really do want to advertise on maybe like Friday nights when people are out and maybe they're looking at their phone, they're in an Uber or something. Maybe that's the best time that you would want to be advertising. So depending on your product, you can choose when to advertise. I'm going to leave it at all day. And again, TikTok can figure out what is the most optimal time based on some of the real data they really start to collect. The optimization goal, conversion, yes, we already have that. We could do bid strategy, maximum delivery, or cost cap. We also have device here. You could customize if this is on Android or iOS. Again, depending if you're selling like iPhone cases, which we are, iOS, it makes more sense to sell only to iOS. Like I don't want to advertise to a Samsung phone for an iPhone case. Now I'm going to leave it on maximum delivery and we can click on next. And that brings us to the actual ad. Now we can have smart creative ads, which essentially creates, I don't like doing that. It's a little more AI generated. I don't want to do that. I'm going to be making my own ad right here. Then you can create a custom identity if you wanted to. So Santrel Merch Shop. I don't know if you wanted to call it that. We can create that. Santrel Merch Shop is going to be the name that pops up. We do want a single video ad, so we can upload the video right now. So there are really three ways to make your ad for TikTok. One of them is going to be making it yourself. That's really the tempting one a lot of people like to do, and you can certainly get started off doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, there is a big learning curve to making a successful TikTok that people actually watch, they engage with, they end up purchasing. You can't just like take out your phone and film it and like have an awkward voice. Like you need to be pretty confident in what you're doing. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to do that in just a second. The second option is something called UGC, user generated content. And this is essentially, you can find somebody who already does this for other people. Like this is their whole job. They make ads for other people using TikTok. So you'll send them your product, they'll open it, it'll be much more authentic, a little more organic. And they definitely, like, because that is what they do, they're going to have a much better camera presence. They're going to have good lighting. They're going to know what they're doing. And it's going to cost you a little bit of money to get that video made. But it is a way that you could go about creating a good ad with somebody else on camera. You don't even have to be on camera. And so it's a very appealing option for a lot of people who are just getting started. And the third option would be to hire an influencer or an agency. These are typically a lot more expensive. And this would be, so like if you wanted to hire an influencer, for example, this is why like State Farm hires Peyton Manning, because people see somebody they know and they associate that with the brand then, and it really gives you a lot more credentials, gives you more merit. People like you more just by association with that. It's really powerful, but like I said, definitely more expensive. It's something that eventually you can move into that realm, but in the beginning, I would recommend either going with UGC, finding somebody who can make the video for you, which could be a really small creator on TikTok. If you've seen them and you like their style, you could maybe contact them. And that also, you can pay them to post on their own platform like as well. But you can have them make a video for you and pay them, I don't know, choose whatever the rate is going to be. But if you were going to make it yourself, there's a pretty good format on how to do this. So there's really three main steps to making a TikTok ad, or really any type of ad, any type of content. The first thing is going to be your hook, your pattern interrupt. People are scrolling mindlessly. You have to get something that makes them stop scrolling so that your average view time is not half a second. Most people are going to be half a second going by. And then if you say something really interesting in the first half a second or in the first second, you have their attention, and then they're going to stay for a little bit longer. And this should be something interesting. It's going to be brand dependent, but for example, if we look at the Sunday Filet t-shirt, maybe your hook is going to be related to like Chick-fil-A always being closed. That's very relatable. And if you present that in like a really good one sentence, that'll get everybody to kind of stop and think about it. So maybe the first line is like you, frustrated, saying, why is it every time I want to go to Chick-fil-A, it's on a Sunday? And then part two is to craft a story. You're going to have essentially a 2-sentence story here. It's going to be brief, but you have to somehow relate to the hook and then expand on that even further. So if your first hook was, why is it that every time I want a chicken sandwich, it's Sunday and the main place I want to go is closed? And then maybe your next thing, again, kind of just brainstorming on this one. I would definitely iterate on this a lot, but maybe your next 2 sentences would be something along the lines of, I always had the idea that somebody out there should make a chicken sandwich store that's only available on Sundays. They're only open because that's the day that everybody really wants chicken sandwiches, and it could be called Sunday Filet. Think about it. Sunday Filet, you can open up right next to the other shop and only be open on Sundays. You'd have no overhead cost until Sunday, and then one day a week, you would have no competition. And then part 3 is going to be the introduction of your product. So this would be if it presents a solution to a problem. In this situation, because it's a funny shirt that doesn't really fit the bill here, so we might have a slightly different format on this. But again, the third sentence could maybe be something like, unfortunately, Sunday Filet doesn't yet exist, but the shirts do. You can buy yours, really good quality. I wear this everywhere to let people know that Sunday Filet needs to happen. Kind of like a little bit of a sarcasm, a little bit of parody there. It's pretty obvious what you're trying to do with that ad. At the same time, you want it to feel pretty organic. Obviously, you want to have the shirt with you. I didn't get mine yet because I'm still filming this video and it'll arrive in like maybe 4 or 5 days. But anyway, that's essentially how you'd go about filming that ad. So then once we have the ad, we can click on upload. I'm going to upload the ad, and then so that the ad will upload, it says it's ready to upload. I'm going to click on upload. Single video will be coming in right there, uploading one creative. We can add the text here, and so you want to make sure the ad text makes a lot of sense. So, all right, so maybe we'll say, ever want a chicken or a crispy chicken sandwich on a Sunday. That could be the text. And the text is going to be directly below. You'll see on the right side, it's kind of showing us what it's going to look like on the final ad. Down here, we have dynamic call to action. That looks good. Let's kind of add some more text here. We want to make sure it fits, but we also want to fill this out the best we can. So buy the shirt now, maybe add a call to action. And like I said, looking on the right side, you can see how it's going to appear. So you can see it's a little bit cut off. I want the word Sunday to definitely be there. Like I want the whole first sentence to be there. So let's kind of redesign this. Maybe, why do I always want a chicken, a crispy? Maybe I can get rid of that and say, why do I only want crispy chicken on Sunday? Only want crispy chicken on Sunday. And we'll click off and see how that looks on the right side. There we go. There, now we can finally see everything. That's what I want. I want it to definitely be all visible. Now, as we scroll down, interactive add-ons, you can create them. I'm not going to add these. They're just like extra filtery kind of things, not necessary for this. Then the URL, where this ad is actually going to point. Obviously, this is incredibly important. So we need to paste our website URL down here. So I'm going to go back to the store, and I want to find the product page. We can either just go directly to the store, or we could also go to a TikTok instant page as well. I'm going to go to URL. Let's go back to our store. Let's copy the link. So I think it's centralmerchshop.com. And we can look at maybe a link to a specific product if we're doing it that way. So let's go to catalog. Let's go down to this Chick-fil-A shirt right here, this crispy chicken sandwich shirt. I'm going to copy that link. And then over here, I'm going to paste that link. So we'll test the link out. It takes us right there. That's exactly what we want. And then going down here, we've got some tracking. This is all optional. And now I'm going to click on submit. We're going to submit the ad. It's going to take time for TikTok to review this, but let's see, it's submitting at the moment. And new payment method. So obviously we need a way to pay for this ad. I'm going to do it a credit card or debit card right here. So I'm going to select that. And then I'm just going to enter my information. Now, it says right there, to verify your card, you're going to be charged $10 that we will then be refunded later. We'll say submit. It's processing the request. We are going to say confirm here. We're just going to click on confirm. And it's processing. It's verifying the payment. And this should only take about a minute or two for this to happen. And then we'll be able to get this up and running. So there we go. Process payment. It looks like that is done. I'm going to say close. Payment method added. Say close, creating the ad. Now this takes another minute or so for TikTok to kind of format the ad and get everything ready to go. There we go. Now we can say back to campaigns. And that'll take us back to our campaigns page where we have 3 tabs: campaign, ad group, and ad. Right now it says status not delivering because the account is in review. It won't take long. This will eventually, maybe within a couple hours, at most within a day, typically within like an hour, this will actually switch over from not delivering to actually running that ad. All right, so as I showed you in the beginning of the video, the samples have come in. I actually, you know those cooking videos when they like put something in the oven and they take something out at the same time because they started cooking it before the show started? That's what I did. I actually ordered these 2 samples before I started filming. They arrived the day that I started filming. They arrived like this morning. So here are the samples, the same designs I showed you in the video. The phone case, like I said, it comes in 2 layers as I expected. The inner one is a rubbery layer, so it should be easy to put on your phone. And the outside one is a plastic layer, so a little more scratch resistant, a little more durable as well. Honestly, like you can see the quality right here. I'll show you guys like some close-up B-roll of this, but print quality looks pretty decent. I'm definitely able to see everything I wanted to. Overall, the case feels pretty good. Like I'm pretty happy with this. The sweatshirt then, you can see this one has the embroidering on the top chest pocket. It also has, like, honestly, pretty good softness, pretty good fit. The strings have small knots on the bottom, as opposed to some might have like a metal clip or something like that. But now that I have this, I probably will want to take some real life photos with this sample, in addition to the mock-ups that we already have. The mock-ups are great and they're really a good start, but what I would recommend, there's really 2 ways that I would go about doing this. One way is if you have a friend who is a photographer, or you know somebody you can hire as a photographer to take photos of this, whether you're the one modeling it or maybe somebody else, that is going to be probably your best bet. That's going to be a really good way to showcase it, and somebody who really knows what they're doing and has a professional camera, that's going to be the option number 1. That's the best option you could have. But if you can't do that, which, let's be honest, not everybody has a professional camera or a friend with a professional camera. So if you have to use your phone, say you have an iPhone or literally any new phone, the photo quality is definitely going to be good enough. The only thing that is not good enough is going to be the default. Like most people are pretty bad at taking photos. Like the situation, the environment, the lighting that you might instinctively choose most likely is not going to be the best. So I want to give you guys kind of a quick crash course on how to set up lighting. Not that I'm like a Hollywood lighting expert, but I've been filming YouTube videos and doing a lot of product photography and portrait photography for the past, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. So I want to share some quick tips on how you can do some really good high quality photography at home using just your phone. And so the number one thing, the most important thing is going to be your background. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot of clutter, you don't have anything going on. And so you can think about this. Maybe you want just like a plain wall. Maybe you want like a natural environment. You're hanging out in like a living room, for example. That could look really good, but you want to make sure you don't have like a bag of McDonald's in the corner, anything distracting from the subject of the photo, which is going to be the shirt, the sweatshirt, the phone case, whatever it is you're showing. You want to make sure you don't have any distractions. So for me, I might use, for example, my living room right here, and I want to clear everything from the background. Maybe a couple house plants back there would be good. Just a nice, clean, simple setup. Now, the second most important thing is going to be your lighting. People always have this temptation to take the photo with like an overhead light on and not a lot of other lights in the room. That won't look good. For most people, the best angle for the light is actually going to be about a 45-degree angle from the side. Right now, like I have a key light in this studio right there. Now, if I were going to take this photo again, like in my living room, for example, I would use a window. Windows have by far the best lighting you are going to get anywhere in your entire home. Don't even bother having any lamps. If you can use a window and you could do it when there's like a nice soft lighting, maybe it's cloudy outside, or maybe the sun's on the other side of your house, not shining directly in at you, this is going to be a great opportunity for some nice bright lighting. Now, men and women have slightly different preferences for where the lighting would be. So for men, I would have a steeper angle. So maybe anywhere from, if right in front of you is 0 degrees, I would say from 45 degrees to 90 degrees would be a good spot for the light to be. So you have more of a hard shadow on their face. It'll show the jawline a little bit more and make them look better in general. For women, you might have softer lighting, so it might be a little bit more in front of them. It might be anywhere from like 15 to 60 degrees would be a pretty good spot for the window. And then what I typically do, especially if you're taking photos of something smaller, whether it is a mug or a phone case, I would set this up somewhere on a table, and you want to have things really, really far away. You want a lot of depth in your field. You don't want something like right next to it that could be distracting. And then typically, this sounds strange, but typically what I would do is I would actually use your telephoto lens on your phone for a smaller product. So if you have, for example, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you have a 5x zoom lens on there. If you go pretty far away actually, and you zoom all the way in, you're going to have a really nice natural blur. It's going to look a lot like a professional camera, and it's going to give you overall a really nice photo. In addition, by having a zoomed in lens, not cropping in on the regular lens on your camera, but actually having a zoomed in telephoto lens, you have less distortion on your object. So if you look at like an ultra wide, for example, everything's kind of weird and distorted on the outside, but the zoomed in, nice straight lines, everything looks exactly as it should. Honestly, that's how I would take photos, especially if you're doing the smaller objects. For the clothing, you'll probably want to use your main camera lens on your phone. You could use portrait mode if it's good, but definitely be very critical of portrait mode. I would look at portrait mode and try to find any little errors. If there's like bubbles of clarity around your head, people are going to see that and realize it's kind of uncanny, kind of unprofessional. And so you want to make sure that if it doesn't look perfect, don't use portrait mode. Just go back to the regular camera mode and maybe remove some more things from behind you. Maybe you're sitting in a chair, maybe you just have a plain wall, maybe a plant next to you. You don't need to blur everything in the background unless, like I said, you have like the newest iPhone and it looks really good when you do that. So if we go back to TikTok, you'll see, first of all, it does say active, and right now it does say it's on as well. So this ad is running. You'll be getting emails regularly telling you how much money you spent, typically in like $5 or $15 increments. And so you might be getting multiple emails per day with receipts. It's kind of what TikTok does when they run ads. But if you ever want to pause the ad, or you have multiple ads and you don't want them both running, you can just toggle it from on to off. There's a little switch on the left side within that ad. You can actually do the same thing with entire ad groups. You could turn off ad groups, or of course you could just turn off the campaign entirely. And you have 3 tabs across the top there where you'll see all of your campaigns, all of your ad groups, and naturally all of your ads as well. So that is just one thing that you need to be aware of. In addition, when you look at, say, the ad, for example, or any one of them, if you hover over the label for the ad, the name of the ad, you have a little menu below it pop up. So you can view the data for that. And if we click on that, it'll tell you what the total cost was, what your CPA, which is going to be your cost per action, your cost per result in this situation, your total cost. You'll see the impressions, so how many people actually saw your ad. You'll see how many clicks there were to the destination, so how many people saw your ad and were interested enough to click through. And so even though this is being optimized for product sales, it's also worth looking at this and seeing, hey, I ran all these different ads. Maybe one of them has a better CPC, which stands for cost per click. So it kind of gives you a better idea of which videos have a better call to action, which ones are more compelling for people to go about buying. And like, I personally am a huge nerd when it comes to data. I love reading this stuff and really diving in and figuring out what is the best ad and how can you really improve. And so that's really positive right there. Now, it's also worth noting that once you make your ad, I recommend making a slight variation of that ad and actually publishing that on your TikTok, on your Instagram as a reel, on Facebook as a reel, and possibly on YouTube as a short as well, and checking out all of those organically, because you are going to be getting feedback, you'll be getting comments on that, and that could be very valuable in understanding your product. But in addition, that could also be really valuable in getting some free organic traffic. That's one of the biggest ways that you can start to get attention for your brand, is by making really good viral content. So a really good example of somebody who, in my opinion, has really mastered social media and organic marketing is the company Friday Beers. You may have seen them, where essentially what they do, it's really quite genius in my opinion. So they set up at sporting events, football games and things like that, where people are tailgating, they're out there, they're drinking beers, and this company, it's a beer company, right? They want to sell their light beers, and that's the perfect environment for where they would sell them. But what they do is they set up a table, they have this one guy who can drink beers at like an ungodly speed. I don't know how he can do it. The game typically goes like this. It's $20 to play, and you win $100 if you can chug a beer faster than the host of the game, the guy who's sitting there. And so the guy's drinking beers all day, but like, he just wins every time. And he drinks it so fast that they take a short video, and then they just put that on TikTok. And it absolutely goes viral basically every time, because it's just crazy to watch. Like, I've seen those videos so many times, and every single time I'm just so impressed by how that man is able to do that. But regardless, it is an advertisement. The whole thing is an ad for a brand. But the whole time you're watching it, you're being entertained. You don't even realize it's an ad, but they've got their Friday Beers logo right there. They're drinking Friday Beers. They say Friday Beers during the video. Like, it is a perfect ad. They don't have to pay to amplify that. They're getting a lot of earned media, a lot of free traffic, just by making good quality, entertaining content. So that's something you really want to keep in mind. Maybe if you are doing print on demand and you have some type of clothing, for example, maybe you could just do something that's really interesting and you just happen to be wearing that. Maybe you mention it, maybe you don't, but you don't always have to pitch everything as a really strong ad when you're running things organically. So that's something that I thought was worth mentioning in this video. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time to kind of craft it. Very few people hit a home run with their first video. More often than not, it takes quite a few iterations until you start to realize what videos perform better than others. And of course, it's also worth just kind of watching other people out there in your niche, or really adjacent to your niche is more important, and finding trends. Don't just copy them, but find trends between them. For example, if you are selling mugs, maybe you could find other brands that are selling desk accessories or home kitchen stuff, or even just different kinds of mugs, and look at all of them and see what is the best performing video for each of those accounts. And then kind of make a similar video on your account, but adapted to your own product. That's a really good way, in my opinion, to access a larger audience and kind of learn as fast as possible without having to experiment with thousands and thousands of videos, just instead like opening your eyes and seeing what works for other brands. So now we want to set up our email marketing. This is going to be a really great way to improve our conversions in the future at a much lower cost, because once somebody buys once, they're very likely to be a customer in the future as well. They liked what you sold, they resonated with you in some way, and so by capturing their email when they're purchasing from you, or just from your website in general, you will be able to remarket to them when you come out with new products in the future, or if you have new sales, or maybe just for their birthday, you want to give them a discount, different things like that you can have set up. And there's a lot of different ways we could set that up. In the past, I might have used MailChimp. There's also Klaviyo. In this video, we're going to be using Omnisend. It's very well integrated with Shopify. It's really like the MailChimp for e-commerce. So it's really meant for Shopify, for selling. And obviously, this is going to be an email marketing platform with a lot of very very powerful automations as well. So to get started with this, we are going to go to link number 7 down below. Link number 7 is going to be Omnisend. So it's santrailmedia.com/Omnisend, which is OMNI, like Omni, and then send, SEND, like you're sending something, and that'll take you to this page right here. So Omnisend is going to be, like I said, a really e-commerce focused thing that also does SMS, so you can text people as well. Very useful in my opinion. And so we can start off, for free, and we can upgrade in just a second. We're going to sign up with Shopify. It'll connect to our store very easily. So we'll just say install. We're going to click install again. And then we can create a password and enter some of our basic information here as well. And we'll say get started. Obviously go to your inbox and verify your email account. It's going to be a crucial step here. And now it's going to create our account with Omnisend. So kind of a quick little crash course on how this works. We're going to start off by adding our logo. So we'll click on logo. We're going to upload from computer, browse files. We'll add our logo here, and then we can select it. That looks pretty good. If you can see on the right side, so it kind of cropped it out weirdly on the left, but on the right side, that's what it would really show you. Kind of looks good, actually. I don't really mind that. As far as the accent color goes, you can change all of these. You can add your own custom colors as well. So what I like to do, if you don't know what your logo colors are, first of all, if you were using Canva, you can find out the logo colors fairly easily. But otherwise, if we just go to HTML color identifier, we can just do that and just choose something on Google. Like the first one looks fine. We can upload our photo, open the photo there, and then you can just hover over it. So right there, and then copy that color code. So that's called an HTML color code. That's gonna be really useful to match your logo color on a lot of different, basically anything you're doing online. And so right here, accent color, I'm going to use that one. We're going to add that color as our accent color. Now you can see the button matches the logo. It looks a little more clean in my opinion. I personally really like that. And then black and white, I think that looks fine. Maybe we could, I don't know, let's see. It kind of looks good with blue there as well. It's kind of your choice, right? You can, if you have multiple colors, set up multiple colors. I'm gonna leave it as that. That looks good enough to me. Now, as far as headings and the font, we can change these fonts as well. A lot of times there are font pairings, so sometimes people have a different font for the header and the paragraph. A lot of websites do that. For this, that looks clean, very easy to read. I think that's fine. Some brands might want to have a more specific font, so definitely look for one. Try to be consistent as well between your different websites and kind of having your own font used everywhere, but that one looks good enough. Arial, everybody's pretty used to that. Now we'll save the brand assets, and now Omnisend is suggesting we go through these 4 steps. I'm going to close out of that. The 4 steps are basically right here anyway. So you want to have a welcome email. That's definitely something we are going to set up. You'll probably want to set up an abandoned cart recovery. That's a really powerful tool. So if somebody goes to your site, they add something to the cart, and then whatever, their doorbell's, like somebody's at the door, they go over there, they forget about it, maybe they get a phone call, and they might end up not ordering from you, even though they were just about to do that. They added to the cart, but they never actually ordered. So abandoned cart recovery is just essentially reaching out to them again and saying, hey, you forgot to order this. Or maybe saying, hey, like, I know you put this in your cart, maybe you had second thoughts about it, here's 10% off. Just to kind of push that sale through and encourage it a little bit more. We'll clear out the notification. So now let's go to create a welcome email. So what discount do we want to add in our welcome email? 10%. Let's give people 10% off when they sign up. They join our email newsletter. We'll continue setup. We could use an SMS channel if you wanted to. Definitely look into your local laws. Obviously, SMS also costs some money too. So I'm going to go with only emails for now. I don't think you necessarily need SMS when you're getting started, but it could be a powerful tool depending on what you're selling. Like phone cases, obviously, might make a little more sense to do that than clothing. Now our workflow is active. That was super easy. We'll go to show my workflows. The welcome email is right here. It's currently just a draft, so if we click on that, all right, so that brings us to our workflow. So this looks complicated, but essentially this is a flow chart, and as you go down, it's kind of the sequence of events. So the beginning is the on-ramp here. The subscribers enter the workflow when they sign up for an Omnisend form. They sign up through the form, and they become like a member of your newsletter, more or less. Then it waits 1 minute, and then it sends them an email, and it says hello, or it says welcome to account name. So we have to set that up and choose our account name. It's going to be like Santrail Merchandise Fan Club or whatever. And then it says here's your 10% discount code. If we click on that, we can actually go and customize that a bit more over on the right side. And then down at the bottom, it says exit. But you can add other things in there as well. So you could say, okay, now maybe delay. So we can add another delay right there. Maybe we're going to wait a little bit. And we could split. We could split it right here. So kind of just going a little further, we could split it and have a bit of an if statement. If you've ever done any coding, that's what this would more or less be called. But essentially you're saying you can have an either or. You can have if they placed an order, then exit. If they did not place an order, send them another email with maybe another discount, right? So we could say maybe like if we could say message behavior, if they opened the email and then we choose the first email, we'll say save. So if they did open that first email, then maybe we want to send them another email. So we could say yes, then send them another email right here. If they did not open that email, we can tag the contact here and we could tag them as some tag. We'll create some new tags in a minute, but maybe we're going to tag them as unresponsive or maybe uninterested or accidentally subscribed, and you could even unsubscribe them as well. So that's going to be a more complicated workflow, but you kind of see how you're able to build this out, and there's really a lot of options for what you can do between splitting. You can have A/B testing as well. So you could have two different emails and you can run an A/B test where maybe every other person gets sent email A or email B, and then you can see what the open rates were. You're actually able to see percentage of people who opened the email as well as percentage of people who clicked on links. So you can really learn a lot more using an A/B test. This can become a massive flowchart. That's kind of why they give you this little grid paper background, because it's really endless options on what you could do. Now, if we click on the three dots on any of these, we can delete them. I'm going to simplify this workflow. We don't need all of these things. Let's start off with just the welcome email as they gave it to us before. So we don't need to wait another minute. That doesn't really make sense. That's unnecessary. Now on the bottom, the campaign here, we could say welcome to, and then let's replace account name with Santrel Merch Shop. Welcome to the Santrel Merch Shop Club. Pre-header, that is going to be what shows up below the subject line. Essentially in their inbox, they'll see that. Not necessarily the context of the email, but they'll see that as the subline right there. So it'll say, hey, here's 10% off your first order to celebrate you joining us. And then the sender's name, Santrel Shop, sender's email address, that is where they're going to be able to reply. And then down here, we can click on edit content. Now we want to save. So yes, save, publish changes. And that'll bring you over to the email. So this is how we can actually edit the email. So we actually don't need to set anything up on the back end. So right now, the discount code, it's just automatically going to happen. We don't need to worry about that. So right here, it says welcome aboard. You can change the text right here, change the font if you wanted to. Let's at least center our logo. I think that would look a little bit better. We can reduce that padding as well, down to maybe 5. So we can center things. We can add some more text on here. Let's say finish editing. And now that's pretty much ready to go. So we can save this, or we can start the workflow. I'm going to click Start Workflow. But if you remember, that had a couple things. It had a form in the beginning. It had lists that people were on, and it had a welcome email. So we need to customize those things right now. Starting off with forms, we're going to click on Forms on the top, and we have kind of a default form that it'll give us in the very beginning. And so we can click on Preview Launch Form. All right, and there is our form right now. Get 10% off your first order and be the first to hear about our new products. Enter email, 10% off, and then powered by Omnisend on the bottom. I mean, there's not a whole lot else I would want to change there. Maybe you could add an image. This is going to be a pretty straightforward editor though, very familiar to what you've seen on a lot of other platforms out there. But on the left side, we have some items that we can use here. So if we want a radio button, we can click and drag that over and drop it there. And so the radio button could ask something about somebody. It could be gender, it could be political party, it could be whatever you think is relevant to your products. You can add that. Similarly, we can add a checkbox. Some people like to do this and just say, have one option there and just say like, please sign up for our email, or like confirm that you're signing up for our email. That's kind of something that some places, some like regions do require that. So look into your local laws on that one. Usually Omnisend kind of helps you and understands that for you. But let's just say we want to add maybe an image right here. So let's add an image, maybe right here. We're going to upload an image, and then maybe this image. So let's select file on the right side. So maybe we need, maybe like the phone case would be a pretty good one here. We can go with that. So we can just kind of resize it, make that a little smaller. And I mean, I don't know. That's not the best, but that's kind of an idea of how you could add an image right there. In addition, we can also add a link to that image. So if somebody clicked on that image, it could take them over to the product. That might be a really good idea there. And on the bottom, we have our padding. So you kind of see that space around all edges there. We can change that. So if you want to make it 0, there's a little bit less padding on the top and the bottom and the right and left side. Well, that doesn't really matter on the right and left side, but top and bottom is going to matter for this one. We also have a ton of other options on the left side, so I kind of just want to recommend you play around with this for a little bit, but email is going to be one, so that we already have down there, enter their email. But if you didn't already have that, if you're building one from scratch, definitely add email. Actually, they have the legal consent button separately over here, so you don't need to make it a radio button. It kind of is right here. So if you just go and paste that like right there, there's a little checkbox that says the same thing. Like that is what it is. Like it is, you're signing up for an email newsletter. We can add input, we can add date, drop down, different text, different buttons. We can have a wheel of fortune as well. I don't recommend, please don't do wheel of fortune, but it is something you can have if you're trying to, I don't know, like people can win discounts or whatever. To me, that is incredibly scammy. I would never personally click on that, but it is available. If you want it, a Wheel of Fortune is available right there. In addition, we can have different layouts. So if you wanted, like, maybe I don't like this, maybe I wanted 3 images there, I can click on 3 columns and click and drag that up. Maybe just put it right below that little section. And then here I can add like 3 different images. We'll just go to like this image, for example. Let's click and drag image over, and then image, and then image. Now we can have 3 images right there, just uploading each one individually. So I think you get the idea of how this would really look. If we go over to enable now, we click on that on the top. This is now available. It's now a pop-up. It's ready to go. That is the type of this one, and that is going to be our form. So if you wanted to make another form, you can click on create form, and they have a lot of other templates here. Some of them look a lot better, honestly. Okay, I was not a fan of Wheel of Fortune, but that one looks a little better there. It's kind of like a purpley, cooler tone. I don't know. Maybe it could work. I don't want to talk too badly of the Wheel of Fortune, but yeah. Anyway, you can have different templates right here. So let's close out of this. So this pop-up right here, in order to make this actually appear, we have on the right side the behavior. So audience management, they're going to be tagged with form subscriber, welcome discount. That's what we want. They're going to be set up with that welcome discount. Scheduling, we want this always available, so always show it. You could do certain dates would make sense if you didn't want it to appear all the time. Maybe it's just a February discount. You can have it just for that month. So you can choose some display options as well. So it could be page visits. It could be they need to be on like their second page for this to happen. If they're clicking around a lot of things, it could be time on page. So maybe after they're on for 10 seconds, this could appear, right? We don't want to lose conversions by popping up immediately when people are on here. So maybe we have them on for like maybe 15 to maybe 30 seconds. That's enough time for them to look at it, think about it, and they think, all right, well, maybe I want to buy this, maybe I don't, and then you hit them with a, hey, you can get 10% off. And so that is more likely to convert them, and also you'll capture an email in the time as well. So you could have scroll depth is another idea. If you want to have them, like this can pop up when they scroll down 50% of the way on the page, or exit intent is another one. If it looks like they're moving up towards the exit, a pop-up could distract them and say, hey, wait, before you go, like we can give you a discount. Let's make this work. So let's update the live form. Just click on update. And now if we just go to centralmerchshop.com, let's see how this works. So it's going to take about 30 seconds for this to actually appear. And so we're scrolling around. Maybe we're looking at the FAQs. Let's check these out. And there we go. The pop-up just appeared. So you can see we really didn't have to do anything. Like Omnisend really set this whole thing up for us. And now I'm just going to sign up with my email. Say enter. It's asking for the phone number as well. I just click on, all right. It was asking for a phone number as well. I think I might get rid of that. I don't really like having the phone number request as well, just because it might deter people. They only want to give email. They don't want to give both. And they might be confused like, oh, do I have to give both in order for this to happen? So then if I go back to my inbox, so here it is. The email showed up. It gave me a little discount code. This is a custom code just for me as well. So if I click redeem discount, it takes us over to the store. I copied that discount code as well. So if I go to the checkout, so we're going to checkout, discount code, I can paste that. Let's paste that and apply it. And it works. Like it does it all on the back end. So that's really why I like using Omnisend. It's really like a full stack, everything you need from setting up the discounts for you, to setting up the pop-ups for you, to managing everything. You just tell it from a really high level, like, hey, I want a welcome email. and it manages all of that so well for you. So I'm really impressed with this, just how seamless that actually worked. It feels much more professional. Definitely a value add to the website, not only making it look more professional, but also substantially more functional as a seller on the back end. Now going back to Omnisend, there are a few more things we need to do. We can click on View Actions on the top. So for one, we need to have a domain. You need to add and authenticate a custom sender's domain. So we're going to click on Add Domain. Down here we can add sender domain. So santralmerchshop.com, we'll say Continue. All right, so that'll bring you to this page here. This looks intimidating. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it. It's really quite easy to do. So if we go back to Shopify, we can go down to Settings on the bottom left. We can scroll down to Domains, and then within Domains, we can click on the one that we're actually using. So for me, santralmerchshop.com, just click on that. It'll bring you to a page that looks something like this. Now on the top right, you'll see something that says Domain Settings. We're going to click on that so we get a drop down, and we're going to click on Edit DNS Settings, Domain Name Server. That's really what that stands for. All right, so now we're going to start off by copying the first one, the SPF, and we're going to create a TXT record for this. So we say copy, we'll go back to Santral Domains, we're going to click on Add a Custom Record, TXT record. So for the name, we're just going to put a little @ symbol, and then for the TXT value, we're going to paste that. We'll say confirm. Now we have our first TXT value. Going back to Omnisend, here we have to make 2 more. So we have to make 1 more for DKIM. So we're going to copy this, that is the name. Go back to here. We're going to say add custom record. This is going to be a TXT record. We're going to paste that name, and then we're going to go back and copy the value. So copy the value, click on Shopify again, and paste that in TXT record. We're going to confirm. And now let's add a third TXT record down here. We can scroll down for DMARC. We'll copy the name, go back to Shopify and paste that name. I'm going to have to blur a lot of this out, by the way. And then we're going to go to value, copy that value, and we're going to paste the value here. Now we're going to confirm that. And now all 3 have been added. We can go and verify the records. Sometimes it takes up to 24 hours, so don't be alarmed if it doesn't happen right away. I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to go and verify records. They're not there at the moment. It might take a couple minutes. So now that one's now added. This one will be here in a couple minutes. Just got to keep refreshing and verifying records. And then, like I said, it could take up to 24 hours. Usually it's much, much faster than that. Usually only a couple minutes. All right, so unfortunately for me, it's going to take more than a couple minutes for that to happen. So regardless, it's going to walk you through 2 more steps after this. They're really not especially difficult, and that's just kind of needed on the back end to be able to send using your domain. So the email is obviously not fraud. They don't want people to just set up this and like email on your behalf. You kind of have to verify that it is your domain, and so that's why they're going about doing this. So I'm going to go back to Santral Shop. I'm going to go back to Shopify rather for my shop. And I want to talk about what is on the left side, kind of a rundown on some of the more advanced tools. Now that we have our store more or less set up and kind of running on its own, we will want to know about customers for one. So when people are ordering, if they ever contact you, because you are going to be customer support, at least in the very beginning, until you automate that and find somebody else to do that for you, you want to know about the customer. So if you click on customer, you can see who is subscribed. You can learn more about them. Of course, how many orders they had, how much they spent. If somebody's a top spender, you could reach out to them personally. Maybe you could give them like a free little thing or something like that. It's kind of nice to have that information set up here within customers. Then if we click on content, we've got our meta objects right here. That's going to be things like size guides, things like cart upsells, different things like that that kind of are a little more three-dimensional, a little more dynamic on your website. I am not going to be setting that up at the moment. I don't think it's entirely necessary, but it is something that if you have the time, I would definitely recommend experimenting with that. Going down to finances, you can see how things are performing, the sales, the profit, the margins, and it breaks down a lot more as you start to earn more. They show you more information, like up here, for example, as well as payouts, credit, bill pay, and stuff like that. And that is a totally separate tab from analytics. Analytics is much more based on how your website performs. So how many sessions there are, how many people visit your website, that is, how long they spend on your website, what their conversion rate is. So do people end up getting stuck by adding to the cart? Do they end up clicking twice and then they don't purchase? Like, you want to know where you can be more efficient, and this is going to be your lens into a more efficient website. So identifying like where people are coming from, what kind of device they're using for one right here, which, as I said, desktop, as expected, is a really massive minority. Most people are viewing this on mobile, but things like that, you really want to make sure that you're understanding exactly how your website's being used, who's using it, and what's working and what's not working, so you can optimize in the future. Going down to marketing, this is a massive category. So we kind of set up a little bit with Omnisend, and we'll get back to Omnisend in just a second, but within here, within marketing, of course, campaigns is one. We don't really need this because we do have Omnisend. And automations, this is also something that we will be setting up through Omnisend. So abandoned cart recovery, that's an automation that we'll go back to Omnisend. We're going to set that up in a second, but you can see some information about it within the marketing insights here. So reach, sessions, orders, and sales, of course, kind of a little bit redundant, but it's kind of just reorganized within this tab right here. We talked about discounts already. We talked about our sales channels, but if we go down to apps, let's go to all recommended apps. I've only mentioned a couple in this video so far: Facebook, TikTok, Omnisend, and Gelato. But of course, within here, you can really browse quite a few other apps. If we click on the Shopify App Store on the bottom, and one of the reasons, like I said earlier on, that we like to use Shopify so much is that there are just so many integrations out there. If you want to sell on Pinterest and have it very natively embedded within there, there's an app you can add to Shopify for Pinterest. Scrolling down, you'll see there are quite a few others that are like new and trending, so I recommend checking these out. This could be workflow automation with Zapier. That could maybe say like, hey, anytime this happens, anytime there's an order, I want this little sequence of events to happen. And it could be anything. Like somebody could place an order and like a little light bulb could flash in your office. Like it really is, Zapier is pretty impressive on how really intense it can be. Like you can set up some massive automations. Honestly, I could have an entire video just about Zapier. You could really nerd out about that one for a while. Pretty cool how that stuff works. Going down, Google and YouTube. Obviously, if you want to run Google ads or anything with YouTube, setting up that sales channel and Google Shop is going to be really powerful. So at the very least, I'm going to add this now. I don't think, like, this video is already getting long, so I'm not going to go through the setup on Google and YouTube right here on setting that up, but more or less what you would end up doing once you install this app. They do give you kind of a checklist. So we connect a Google account. You could either make a new Google account, which I highly recommend doing. For one, because you want to make sure that the Google account associated with your domain is not taken by somebody else. You don't want other people to spoof you and end up emailing people on like what seems like it is you and scamming them, because people don't always realize it's not you, and ultimately they can be mad. So I usually do that. Like if I'm going to make this business, I might claim santrellmerchshop@gmail.com, even though that's not the main email I plan on using for customer service and stuff like that. I would claim it, and maybe that's the one that you would connect to this, for example. Let's click on the little pin so we have that available there as well. Let's go back to Omnisend now. Let's see if this was set up. If I verify the records, hopefully it's working. Okay, it's still going to take more time. Like I said, it could take up to 24 hours. So I'm going to close out of this. We'll come back to that a little bit later. It's still going to be there, and it's going to be working in the background to do that. But let's go back to our automations, or our dashboard rather, and I want to set up an abandoned cart recovery, like I said. So right here, we can launch that workflow, and we could say abandoned cart recovery. Hey, if somebody puts it in their cart and they end up not purchasing it, maybe we want a really strong incentive. We can make it 15%. So we'll continue setup, and we could say, no, let's only do this by email. We don't need to text them as well. So we're going to start this workflow. And this one should be really similar to what we saw with the welcome email. So we could say, show my workflows, abandoned cart recovery, as we have right here. It's sent 1 hour after the customer starts their checkout if they don't actually purchase, if it's an abandoned cart. So if we click on that, you can see the workflow right here. So the trigger is going to be essentially they're placing an order, but they don't actually do that. You can see that the items in your cart are selling fast. That's going to be the email that we send them. And you can customize this if you wanted to. So edit content, for example. This is what it looks like. Shows a bunch of products down here. We can say complete order. Honestly, like Omnisend does a lot right. I'm not going to customize that. I think that looks just fine. We could also send a test email to see how it works. I'm going to test it out on my own more organically just to see if it identifies everything properly and actually emails me within, I believe, a couple hours. So wait another 11 hours and then send another email and it says your cart misses you, and then wait 12 more hours and do 1/3 attempt where we are giving them a 15% discount. So if you think that is too many emails, you could delete some of them. You could move the sale up a little earlier. You can rearrange this however you want. But more or less, this is what Omnisend has kind of developed for us that we didn't even have to do anything extra for. And so I trust this. I would really just run with it as it is without having to add anything else on the bottom. So I'm going to close out of that. And this, I mean, like I said, we just clicked a couple buttons. We chose the percentage and we chose like if we're using SMS or just email. And it set up the entire thing for us, which is really quite impressive. Now, there is a limit on how many emails we can send with Omnisend using the free version. So right now we have 499 emails left, and we only have $1 of SMS credit. So if you view the plus plans, just click on View Plus Plans, you'll see that you can pay monthly or pay yearly. It's $11 a month. So $11 is $11. It's not negligible by any means, but it is still, honestly, like I've used a lot of different email servers out there. A lot of them are a lot more expensive than this. And the functionality and integration and just how well this functions with Shopify, I think it's hands down worth it. I recommend getting Omnisend and upgrading this, choosing this plan. I would just pay yearly, honestly. You're saving money, $11 a month. And that'll give you a lot of great things like abandoned cart recovery, which could be substantially cheaper than, like, if you look at how much your cost per customer is, abandoned cart recovery is going to be way less than advertising to new potential customers. So for me, I think this is one of the best secrets you could have in your arsenal, one of the best ways to market to people. So one last app that I want to recommend is going to help you rank on Google using what's called search engine optimization. So you want to make sure that even though like we're going to be doing a lot of social advertising here, both organic and inorganic, but of course ranking on Google is something that you always want to do eventually anyway. So you might as well start as early as possible trying to rank on Google. So we're going to click on apps, and I recommend searching for SEO. There are a lot of good SEO apps out there. Yoast is one that a lot of people tend to use when they're working with WordPress. I haven't personally used it with Shopify just yet, but I do know that Tiny SEO is incredibly popular. I mean, the reviews reflect it right there with 1,800 reviews, averaging 5 stars. So this is probably the easiest one to go with. Avada is another really good one as well, but Tiny SEO, like let's just install that real quick and kind of set it up very, very quickly. This is more like essentially what SEO is. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And the intent here is that Google, as a big search engine, a lot of people find things through Google. It needs to know what's on your website. It needs to know what your website is about. And so they have essentially little bots, little AI computer, whatever mechanisms that go and browse every single website, and they crawl through each site. They try to read everything, they categorize it, and they index it. So you want to make it as easy as possible for Google to understand what your website is. In addition, there are other things that Google really cares about, like page speed, for example, and ultimately, how good is the end user experience. So if your website has really gigantic photos with massive resolution, like a 42 megapixel photo, or even a 12 megapixel photo, people will open that, and if they're not on the fastest Wi-Fi ever, it's going to take a long time for your page to load. Now, Google knows that's not a good experience. People don't like to wait around for their website to load, so they kind of dock you on that. They say that's not good, take a couple points off, you're going to rank a little bit lower. So things like that, the keywords you use, the load speed, stuff like that is going to help you rank higher on Google. And so right here, like converting PNGs to JPEGs, that's making your images smaller. We can say, sure, convert. We can optimize the alt text on here, so it could be like product name, stuff like that. Sure, that looks good to me. File name is going to be good, and we can resize the oversized images to Shopify's recommendation or the recommendation from Tiny IMG. That's going to be a little bit smaller, or we can just go in the middle. I'm going to go in the middle for this one, and we've got a couple different tiers if you want to use Tiny SEO. Again, really powerful tool, might be worth doing, especially if you plan on ranking on Google and getting some more free traffic through search, which is a really massive traffic source depending on what it is that you're selling. That was a lot to talk about. I really appreciate that you stuck around this long, and I really wish you the best on your online store. But before you click off, one last thing that I would recommend. I hope you took notes throughout this video, but for me personally, when I watch like a full course like this, I like to rewatch it maybe in a week or 2 weeks, or at the very least re-reference certain portions of this video. Of course, it has timestamps on the bottom, so I'm trying to make that as easy as possible for you. What I would recommend doing is saving this video, either saving it on your browser, or like what I like to do is copy the link and either text it to myself or save it in a document where I keep my notes. And so that kind of just helps me to just access the information in the future. So when you're building your website, if you think, all right, like I'm running ads, but I don't remember that one thing you were talking about with TikTok ads, you can come back to this video and you can watch it there. But that is, in essence, the summary of how to get started with print on demand. I hope you found this video very helpful and very informative. I wish you the best of luck, and please leave a comment below with what your store actually is. I would love to check them out. Thanks for watching. I'm Michael Bryan with Santrel Media, and I'll see you in the next video.